Yeah, through the ARPA, federal ARPA grants, like $3,000.
We commissioned a study.
Well, I think they can hear us better too.
Yeah, it works like it's better than any other electronics that we have.
Yeah. I think Tina came up with that idea originally.
Say again?
I think Tina came up with that.
Oh, you're brilliant.
I'm ready to do it.
Sometimes you're like, there you go.
Except for the time I
You
say
wanna open
it.
this door?
Nope. There.
You haven't signed in?
All right. You good to go, Bruce?
Yep, we're going.
I'd like to call the select board meeting of Monday, August 19th, 2024 to order. Item 2 is additions or deletions to the agenda. We have 2.
I move to delete from the town officials business section of the agenda the consideration and adoption of a social media policy is presented by the Mountain Town Rec Director.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And I move to add to the new business section of the agenda as item 10.f, improvements to the town hall parking lot.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item 3, minutes approval meetings of 8/5/2024 and 8/14/2024.
Just I want to mention one minor change is that page 4 of 80, which is from August 5th, at the top. Under my announcements, it says road crew candidate Josh Finch was offered a job. It's Josh Vincent. I've made the change already. It's just a minor.
I move to approve the minutes of select board meetings of August 5th, 2024 and August 14th, 2024.
With that suggested change.
With that suggested change.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
I got a question.
Yep.
When did it go from first names to Mr. and Ms.?
Probably when we get our new minutes taken.
Yeah, I would assume
Ah,
so.
okay.
We can, whatever your preference is, that's
Oh, this
she's
is,
been
this
doing it
is
kind of more formal way.
substantial upgrade.
Item 4, select board pay orders.
I move to approve the pay orders for payroll and accounts payable.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Item 5 is announcements and correspondence.
I have a few regarding the town office renovation project. The asbestos remediation began today, and so they plastered off the whole basement. And now they've got positive pressure out the back, so that's working out. And then
All good.
over the weekend, I sent out an email to the new planning commissioners, giving them information, including an agenda, a draft agenda to start working on a date to meet. I also provided them with a bunch of information on the open meeting law, and so that happened.
Can I
Correspondence.
ask a quick question?
Oh, please do.
Would it be helpful for us to be copied on any of those, just so that we can help them as a planning commission? I don't know what, but is it helpful to have somebody else not overseeing, I don't mean to use that word, but just sort of cognizant of the fact that you've communicated X, Y, and Z?
I'm copied on all emails.
Oh, yeah.
You're copied on those?
Generally,
Okay.
on stuff like this, I'll copy Tom,
Okay.
kind of leave it up to him
As
to
long as there's
decide if
somebody
he wants
else,
to
yeah.
distribute it to you all.
Yeah, that's good.
I don't want to barrage people with emails if I don't,
Right, okay.
we don't have to.
Didn't realize that.
In the correspondence, the FYI stuff in the meeting packet is a report from the Vermont Department of Taxes on local option tax for rooms. And we now have a full year of information. And So we took in on a net basis just under $20,000, $19,974. So and that's just the rooms tax. And so now that we've kind of are boosting the whole process for registration of short-term rentals, we expect that'll be quite a bit more next year. So it's $20,000 we didn't have, which is nice. Also in the meeting packet is an outside consumption permit, and that's related to Ski Magic LLC for an event they had this past weekend. And then lastly, we have the Wyndham County Sheriff's Office report for July this last month.
Can I ask a question? Were we to have approved the liquor or whatever, the off-site?
The outside consumption permit?
Yeah. Or is that
My
something-
understanding now is that it's just for your information.
Okay.
You just have to kind of acknowledge receipt of it, and that's,
Got it, okay.
that's how we do it this way. We were approving them in the past, but
Right.
I'm told that we don't have to.
Okay.
Yeah, they've overhauled the whole system.
The state did?
Yep.
Okay.
Item 6, visitors and concerned citizens. Got
Chestnut. So I have a question on the hiring of a second assistant town clerk. We had Jennifer, and I do not know Jennifer's last name,
Lawrence.
Lawrence. She was our assistant town clerk, the assistant to Kelly,
Still is.
and still is. For some reason, Kelly decided that she needed a second assistant town clerk. So she made the suggestion, this is how I understand it, that she needed to have a second assistant town clerk. I do not recall any warnings or announcements of that that went out at the post offices or being posted here at the town or posted in the newspaper as a position for hire. But this young lady was hired or appointed by Kelly, and then a motion was made at the July 15th Select Board meeting by Martha to appoint Allison Moreno, if I said that properly. I hope I did. I didn't beat it up too much. But so she was appointed, and the discussion of her pay was had at that meeting. So this young lady had been shadowing Jen in the office for a couple weeks. And my question was, is Jen getting done? And the answer that I was given was yes, she is moving. Okay, that's why we need a second assistant to train, the first assistant to train the second assistant. Now all of a sudden, Jen is still here working for the town as the assistant. This new young lady is the second assistant. Kelly quit or left. I don't know what you want to call it, how you want to call it.
Resigned.
She resigned. Now we are in search of a town clerk, which it appears to me that this second assistant is being groomed for that position. She has had at least a month's worth of training for the town clerk position. Whether by design or not, I have not gotten an answer to that. But it is my understanding that Mr. Gray has also sent a letter for the town clerk position. And my question is, will Mr. Gray get the same amount of time shadowing the assistant to be groomed for the town clerk's position? The optics of it appear that this young lady took this position because the assistant was leaving. The assistant didn't leave. Now we have two assistants. This young lady is being groomed for the position of town clerk, and it is my opinion and my opinion only, had Mr. Gray not submitted a letter of interest for the town clerk position, that tonight, that lady would be appointed as our town clerk. It looks very, very shady, not only to me, but many other people that I have had this conversation with. And I'm here for clarification on, is there shady business going on? Do we really need 2 assistant town clerks? And was that second assistant town clerk hired as an assistant town clerk or hired as a person to take the town clerk's position? I'm very confused with the whole thing. It looks horribly shady. Horribly shady. And I would like some sort of explanation to all of it. Why did we hire a second? What was the need? Because Jen was getting done? Did Jen get done? Now Jen didn't get done. She's not moving. She may be going to college. It does not sit well. The bread I'm being fed does not taste like bread. And if this is how our town politics is handled, with shady dealings, referencing to, as well as referencing to old documents that are no longer in use, and the resignation of an entire board of planning commissions because they had a tantrum because their paperwork that they gave the select board was questioned. And it just seems like a whole lot of backdooring going on in the town of Londonderry with our boards, our committees, our commissions, our task force. It is all just very confusing and just has an appearance to me of shady business going on. Why do we need 2 assistants? One was leaving, one didn't. The amount of work on the assistant isn't so overwhelming that we need 2 assistants. And then Kelly retires, and now this young lady appears to me to be doing Kelly's job and not the assistant's job. The assistant has a desk and has a computer, and the assistant should be sitting at that desk and computer. But the assistant, second assistant, is acting as she is in a position of the town clerk. I just need clarification, that's all. That's all I asked for. That's it. Thank you.
Yep. So,
I just mentioned what the statute says about appointments for the assistant clerk. Just, Title 24, Section 1170, appointment of an assistant clerk. This is just going to read off the statute.
No, that's fine.
After his or her election, a town clerk shall forthwith appoint 1 or more assistant clerks for whose official acts he or she shall be responsible. It goes on from there, but the clerk is the one who actually hires that individual. It's the select board who decides on what the pay of that individual would be. But they don't have any say over who that elected official chooses.
so when the town clerk is elected, we have no authority over the town clerk. If it was an appointed position, we would. The town clerk and the town treasurer have authority over that office. We do not.
I understand that. So may I ask, go ahead, Taylor, please.
I was just gonna explain my understanding of the whole, how it transpired. Once we knew that Kelly was resigning, it seemed necessary to have, not just because of Jen's situation, whether she was moving or, actually moves or not, we needed another individual in there to cover Kelly's absence. So without really thinking more about like who's grooming for what position or whatever, it was like, okay, we're covered until town meeting when an election can be held. So in my perception was, all short-term until the town votes on the position.
Okay, so
Well,
I
actually, it's gonna be
understand,
us.
I understand you on that, but I guess my question to that, Taylor, is if we knew Kelly was resigning and Jen was possibly resigning as well, why would we hire for the assistant position and not for a temporary actual clerk position?
The town clerk either has to be elected by the public, or if in the event of a resignation, be appointed by the board until the next town meeting.
So why didn't that, why didn't?
That is
Why didn't we have a special town meeting?
Because we decided to we appointed Tina interim until we could get applications for the board to interview those applicants and then appoint a town clerk until the next town meeting when it will be voted on.
I understand the town clerk point. My point here is, as Shane stated, in the statute, thank you. In the statute was that Kelly could appoint a second assistant if she felt she needed one. Why all of a sudden, after how many years, did she feel that she needed a second assistant?
My feeling,
Because
my
of the
understanding,
grooming of her position, is that it?
my understanding was she knew she was gonna be leaving, so it was to not leave a gaping hole in the town clerk's office. We've talked quite a bit about, the term's gonna escape me, but when a town official resigns, that we get help filling those positions, so that, you know, we don't, I forget what the term is. but-
Succession?
Succession, yeah.
I'm not
Succession planning is an important thing that, in the past, it hasn't always happened, and we really haven't been challenged with that, so it kind of seemed like, instead of doing a special town meeting, that it'd be okay for the board to appoint someone that was, you know, maybe getting familiar. I mean, Jen's been there, she's great, and knowing that it's short-term and an election is coming in March, maybe that was an okay gap from now, or time frame from now until March.
So hire a second assistant to groom that person for the clerk's position before the election. She would then go in, raise her hand for the election, come town meeting, I'd like to hold this position. And I've been sitting as the second assistant town clerk and being groomed for this position, so therefore, please vote for me. And the majority of the room would say, well, she's been in there for the past 4 months or the past 6 months. She understands the workings of it, so if I wanted that position at town meeting and I stood up and said I would like it, or Mr. Gray said he would like it, then the majority of the room thought would be, well, this young lady's been there, this gentleman's been in that position and being groomed for it for the past 4 months, 6 months, whatever, she should get the position. I think it's shady business what happened with her hiring, with you all knowing that she was being groomed for the clerk position. That's all I have to say on that.
Here's what happened, Chad. I will not put words into Kelly's mouth, but Kelly wanted to make sure that on her resignation, that there was at least one person in this town who had some knowledge about what the town clerk was doing. That was it. And once she was hired as an assistant town clerk, she could see the office. But Kelly's only idea was to have someone in that office who could see what was going on and have a candidate. Then we put out a chance for applicants to put in. We've gotten Mr. Gray and we've gotten Allison. They were both going to be interviewed by this board, and this board will pick who we choose.
My question
To be
that
fit.
then- My question to that then, Tom, is
She was.
Jen has been the assistant. Why didn't Kelly have the confidence in suggesting Jen?
Jen has no intention of being town clerk, that's why.
And my understanding too at the time was that she may be going to, you know, her life might change enough so she might not be available for the position, so.
Kelly spoke with her and she had no interest in being town clerk. The only,
Thank you for that.
this was Kelly's idea, the only thing she wanted was to make sure that there was at least one person in town, and then we could put out the chance for everyone in town to put in an application. That's what we've done, we've gotten 2. They will both be interviewed, and this board will choose who they see as the most fit candidate to take the position until town meeting.
I can appreciate that. It still looks very shady, and since Mr. Gray has put in an application, maybe the town should offer an olive branch for him for the next month to draw a salary and be trained as well before you all make your decision. If Mr. Gray so chooses that he would like to do that, maybe not at all, I don't know. I can't speak for him. But it just does not seem proper.
We needed a second assistant town clerk since the town clerk was resigning. That was it. And that person would have the option to put in their application. Everybody in this room, everybody in town had a chance to put in their application. It was warned at both post offices, on the internet, posted here. It was no secret that that position was available.
Well, Kelly's position is not what I'm questioning. It's the second assistant or the first assistant.
Well, you'd have to talk to Kelly, because she appointed her, and she had the sole authority to appoint a assistant. So please, talk to Kelly.
I appreciate it.
The only thing we have control over is the pay scale.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Shane. Thank you, Taylor. Thank you, Tom.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Did want to mention, we did get a 3rd application, but that person was not a registered voter in the town. They lived elsewhere, so they were not eligible.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right. Moving on to,
I have some stuff to say.
oh, yeah,
It goes late.
goes with it. Okay, and we'll do it there.
Are we gonna move anything around here?
We can, yeah.
Stuff to item B.
Which item? 8, sorry. I didn't
Do we want to move
just
up
in here. Okay, thanks.
the mitigation discussions?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay.
Do you want to move up the mitigation discussion?
Sorry, I'm trying to catch up with what the conversation is. What was?
No, but Tom's asking if we want to move up the mitigation discussion.
Before we
Oh,
move
sure,
on to
yes,
item
yes,
7,
yes,
do we
sorry,
want to move
yes.
up to the mitigation?
Yes, I could approve that.
We're missing one of the applicants, I think, who was the Chambers. Chambers is here?
No,
I
not
don't
that-
see that.
So you can deal with theirs later if you want it.
all right. Do we need a motion to do that?
You should, yeah, under your rules of procedure, you should make a motion to change the agenda.
Is it going to be
It would be-
11A, 11B, and 11C? Or,
Well, it would just be one. Which one is the Chambers?
It's 11A.
11A, so it'd be B and C, because the Chambers are not here right now.
okay. I move to move item 11B and C to be right after item 6.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we'll move on to 11B, discuss participation in FEMA Hazard Mitigation Grant Program, building elevation 2022 and 2046 North Main Street. I believe that would be you, Center, correct?
Yes.
Sorry?
I said, I believe that would be you, Center.
Yes.
Okay. You'd like to tell us what you are thinking and what you would like to do?
Well, I'd like to fix the building so it doesn't get flooded every time. No matter how it's done, or what's available to do. I have some things that things could be done, but, you know, I'd like to have somebody that knows a lot more about buildings than I do to do it the most economical way.
Yep. I have talked to a person from Vermont Emergency Management. I got this person in touch with Bev, and they can go over options with you. Because the options on the form, I believe, are elevation or flood proofing. correct, Shane? And you got.
There's a whole series of them, but those are probably about the
Yeah.
ones they would be interested
But
in.
you have to pick between both scenarios. You can't put both of them on the application, from what I understand.
Okay.
So if we can get you that guy's information and maybe you can talk to him, go through some options and choose which one you actually want to do. Because we do need that for the application form.
And the application needs to be submitted by the 30th now, is that right?
Yes.
August 30th?
Yeah. So,
We wouldn't want you to miss the deadline,
Yeah.
that's for sure, which is August 30th, which is 10 days away, yeah.
so I can, if you can, do we have Sonny's email? Okay. Do we have your email address?
Should be with us.
All right,
Maybe.
I will get that information sent off to you.
Okay.
And then from there, we can just pick which one you were thinking once you go through the options. If elevation is what you want, we can check off elevation. If floodproofing is what you want, and we can check off that box and go from there.
Okay.
But
Is there a resource that would give them some examples of what floodproofing might look like? And, I mean, elevation's pretty obvious, but floodproofing is kind of...
yeah, Vermont Emergency Management, that's what, I emailed Stephanie Smith about this, and she put me in touch with Brian, I can't remember his last name at
So
this
maybe
point,
there'll
but
be some information.
he is supposed to go over the options, what different options there are, because I know there is one where you basically put an envelope around the building, and then where the windows are, you drop down a waterproof, I don't know, basically like a
Slider.
Curtain,
slider, yeah. And that seals off the building up to a certain point. That's one option that I've heard of being done.
It's like basically a dike around the building.
Yeah, well, what do they do about overhead doors? That's my question. because-
That's one I can't answer
Yeah,
myself.
right, because it's,
Yeah.
to me, it seems a lot less expensive to go that way
Yeah,
than it is to raise a building. But then,
I would think so.
you know, then you got overhead doors that you gotta figure out for, and entry doors and things like that.
Mhm.
Right.
Maybe it's a
Definitely a
combination.
challenge.
Yeah, I think that's where you need to talk to this guy Brian and try to come up with some different options of what they have in mind. And they'll have a lot better idea of the stuff than we do, honestly.
Sure. Thank you.
But I don't believe this board is gonna deny your application. I think anything we can do to help any business in town.
Yeah, and
What we gotta do.
and for me to do the paperwork, it's all online and it's like 3 pages. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And just to check off a few things, and on the cost, I'll just make it up. Well, we did one elevation, as you know, nearby, and, you know, we have a price on what that cost, but, you know, things have inflated since.
Yeah, because certain places
We just wing
elevation
it.
might not be a viable option, depending on building and everything. The different scenarios.
Well, the floodproofing for the plats, they did a little homework on it, was, you know, north of $750,000. But again, this time around, different than Irene, is that the state and federal government are paying 100% of the cost. There's no 25% local match from the individual as there was in the past. So it's a different animal. And there's really no downside to putting in an application.
Yeah, so we'll get you that information and get in touch with him as soon as possible.
Okay.
And then, once you have talked with him, come back to us and Shane, and we can get your application filled out and submitted.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Do we have a motion for this?
Just, I put together a draft motion, we might want to include, I think I said for elevation, elevation or floodproofing.
or
Yeah.
floodproofing, okay.
Perfect.
Or-
Anyone can make that motion?
Is this B, 11B?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure. I move to authorize the town administrator to submit a written expression of interest in application with Vermont Emergency Management's Hazard Mitigation Grant Program for either floodproofing or the elevation of buildings on property located at 2022 and 2046 North Main Street, owned by Central Merrill.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
As soon as the meeting's done, I'll get you that information.
Thanks.
You're welcome. And then we'll move on to 11C, discuss participation in FEMA Hazard Mitigation Grant Program, building elevation 2102 North Main Street.
Me.
Hi, Bev.
Yes, I'm encouraged, and I feel there's been a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel as far as helping us business people on Main Street get a little bit of help and relief from all of our flood woes. I'm very interested in finding out all of the information I can about what's available out there before I make a decision about what I want to do with my property. I believe you gave me the hookup to the gentleman I'm supposed to speak with.
Yep.
And I hope to contact him tomorrow and get that process started. And yeah, I feel encouraged. I feel we've been neglected since the 1970s as far as getting any help and assistance. We're important in this town, and if we're not here, it's going to be a big empty hole. And I feel very encouraged and hopeful that something is out there now for us to investigate and make a right decision about our property and move forward. And I thank you for letting us know about this and giving us this opportunity to pursue what's out there for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Why can't we be the initiator of the phone call on behalf of these people? So that it looks like it's a coordinated effort and the gentleman, whoever we're talking about, visits Bev, visits Center, visit the chambers all at once. I mean, not that we're endorsing it, but at least if it came from one person from our town, then we could coordinate the visit in some way or another.
So I contacted.
And you're looking at me.
I know, Shane, I'm sorry.
I contacted Stephanie Smith. She put me in touch with this Brian guy. I then forwarded that email on to Beth.
Right,
I did not
right.
know Sonny wasn't sure what he wanted to do either.
Oh, okay, so you've already connected with the gentleman? I'm sorry.
We're just gathering information at
Okay.
this point, what's available,
Yeah.
you know, and getting some direction. We're all unique in our building
Yeah.
designs and whatever. I have a big concern about the electrical wires that run through town above my building. And, you know, I'm not an engineer, but I need all of these things explained to me by someone in order for me to make the right decision for my property.
Okay.
And I
As long
think
as it's,
that,
as long as it's happening in as coordinated a way that we can help facilitate it.
Between now and then,
All speak to
I'm
them.
dedicated to this building,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
project. so
Whoever's
I have
doing it,
zero
yeah.
time.
We're all different.
Yeah.
We're all different.
Yeah, they know that came from me.
Great, great.
Anyone care to make that motion?
I move to authorize the town administrator to submit a written expression of interest and application with Vermont Emergency Management's Hazard Mitigation Grant Program for floodproofing or the elevation of the buildings on property located at 2102 North Main Street, owned by Beverly Jelly Life Estate, ETL Lori Bodine Jelly, and Lisa Jelly.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Who seconded, sorry?
Jim. And, no, the chambers are here now, so would you like to move that one up?
Yeah.
Alright, we'll just need a motion for that to move 11A.
I would make a motion to move 11A to 6B.
Second?
All those in favor? Aye. Trying to get the mitigation stuff
Oh, good.
done so you guys don't have to stay for the whole meeting if you don't want to.
Thanks, sorry we're late.
Oh, no problem at all.
You're just in time.
We had you at the end of the agenda, so. So 11A would be discuss participation in FEMA Hazard Mitigation Grant Program, building elevation 74 Main Street. So, as we were just telling Center, and Bev had already been connected with a person from VEM, Vermont Emergency Management, to go over different options of floodproofing or elevation. I'm not sure if you guys have chosen exactly which path you'd like to go on, but we can certainly get you his information as well.
All I know is I mentioned that at the flood relief place up the road. And they told us that August 16th was the deadline, so then we talked with Sean, and that's all we know. We don't know anything about it.
They changed it to August 30th, so you're not late.
That's good.
Yeah, so on the application, you need to check off elevation, which is just bringing the building up out of the floodplain.
Okay.
One thing to know there, which I didn't say to you, Senator, as well, is even though you'll be moved out of the floodplain, you will have to have flood insurance for the remainder of that building, and whoever buys it from you will have to have flood insurance. It's a weird thing, you're out of the floodplain, but you still have to have flood insurance, but it's a FEMA requirement.
Beats moving.
Yeah, so we can get you in touch with this guy, Brian from VM, and he can go over different options with you, over floodproofing or elevation.
Okay. They said we had to go through the town,
Yeah, we have to submit your application, and we will work through the whole process with you.
Okay,
The town has to be involved.
so that man will come to our house and,
I'm not sure if he has time to come to your house, but he can at least go over everything on the phone with you. I'm not sure his schedule. I just reached out to VM on Friday because
Okay.
Bev had asked about, and she wasn't sure which way she wanted to go. So I found this guy, and
Yeah, there's only a handful of people doing it statewide, so
Yeah.
sure he's not gonna be getting here, but,
Yeah.
they do a good job.
he's the one that Vermont Emergency Management said can go over different options with you and discuss them.
we would have done it before we did all the renovations on our house, but who would have thought that a year later it was gonna,
No.
you know? Oh,
So at the end of this meeting, we'll get you that information as well.
okay, thank you so much.
Bev?
Question, this program that's, this, whatever it's called, that's available, since we're the only people here tonight that are getting a permit from the town to approach this program, whatever it is it too late for anybody else to jump on board?
No, they have
or is
until
it
August,
something-
they have until August 30th
Right.
to get
We
their
don't-
application.
Now, how are
We don't have another
people
meeting scheduled at this
No.
point.
Okay, how are the people that could be affected being advised about this or notified that this is even available? I mean, I heard from Center, otherwise I didn't know. I don't live in town, so, and I'm not a registered voter, but I just have a concern about, you know, other people that could benefit as well as us, if it's too late for them or if they can jump on board and how, you know, how can they be notified or how can we spread the word that this sort of stuff is out there? It's very important. I mean, this is the first opportunity that we've ever had in going through any of the floods that we have in this town, feeling like we've had some support from either the town or the state to get us up and in better shape than we've been in the past. So
I think that's a
guess
fair question. I think it's a fair question, that we need to be navigators or helpers the best way we can
Right.
to help link you with those kinds of resources, or link the other people who are not in the room right now who need
Yeah.
those resources.
Right.
Is there any way we could, if we approached others who are not here now about this and they said they wanted to submit, that we could still get their documents signed off by the select board electronically in some way or another?
Special meeting.
Yeah, special meeting. I mean, I don't want to close the door. And I also think there's an incentive for us to have to reach out to folks. I don't know how to do that, but
And is this basically for businesses or is it for personal homes as well?
I think it's
For personal homes.
Yeah, it's both. That's
We've
why the
already
chamber.
submitted a couple. One was for residents, and they wanted to elevate a building. The other was the Platts, your neighbor over there,
Yeah,
for the cafe and restaurant.
yeah, okay, good,
Yeah,
all right.
I will admit, we hadn't really put this information out on the website or nothing, so that is our fault there, but I know the state has been advertising this for quite a while,
Right. Good.
and we probably
Great.
should have done a better job, for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, and spread, I mean, you can help us as well. I mean, anybody who's in this room who hears about this should be alerting anybody who you think has had
Absolutely.
business or personal damage that this could solve.
One thing to know, there's only $90 million statewide. It's a lot of money, but projects are really expensive.
Well, and statewide.
So it's gonna be tough competition, and the town is submitting applications on its own for some of its projects, and they're big cost
And I know I
projects.
said it at other meetings too, the wastewater plants in Vermont have been, the state has said they get priority, and I know one of them alone is about 30 million.
Jeez.
So, stuff like that is really gonna chip away at the 90 million really quick, but
Take precedence.
hopefully we can get you guys in there.
Great.
Can I ask you, the post office in town, the old post office, that they elevated it, was that through a FEMA
That was through this same
Yeah.
program, except at that point, it was a 25% match from the homeowner or business owner, and 75% from FEMA and the state. This go around, it's 100%. Yeah. So that program has been out there before.
I'm just hoping if they approve it, that we make it till the next flood.
Yeah. It was not a quick process the last time we did
Yeah, I
it, that's
wouldn't
for sure.
imagine.
Yeah, it took a long time,
Yeah.
but it was up
Yeah.
by the time the next flood hit,
Right?
and it did just fine.
That's-
I think the process actually may have benefited from early projects if the process hopefully is smoother. I don't know if that's.
It's a tough
accurate.
process.
Yeah.
It's a very
They've-
tough process.
They've given more room for, like Shane's time, administrative costs, I know.
Yeah, we can actually, excuse me, we can hire a project manager
Yeah,
if we wanted to and get it paid for through the program.
yeah, which is probably the way we'll have to go, otherwise
Should, yeah.
Shane will never have anything else to do. Oh, would anyone care to make a motion?
I would make a motion. I move to authorize the town administrator to submit a written expression of interest and application with Vermont Emergency Management's Hazard Mitigation Grant Program for the floodproofing or elevation of the building on property located at 74 Main Street, owned by Andrew and Donna Chambers.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. And I would say, as soon as we get you that information, reach out tomorrow, as soon as you can. So you can get whatever information you can from this person and go from there.
Thank you.
You know what? All right, moving back to our regular agenda. Item 7, town official business. 7A is town assessor, errors and omissions to grand list. Go ahead, Jeremiah.
So it's on our packet, kind of just basically outlining what kind of happened. We had a permit for a garage, 57, well, accessory dwelling / garage at 57 Apple Tree Lane over in Magic. We sent out a mailer to all permit applications requesting an interior inspection, but some people are not local, that doesn't always happen. So the procedure is that we go and do our best estimate of what is actually complete at the time of inspection. So at the time, I saw the plumbing vent and it appeared that the second floor of this accessory structure was completed. So I valued it as such for the grand list. And then Mr. Healy reached out to me in an email after that grievance time, which we normally handle this at grievance. He wasn't available for grievance. And so, you know, the first step for me was to, you know, just request an interior inspection to verify that the second floor wasn't actually finished. So I went out there, he had insulated, but it's essentially an attic space. He did say he does likely intend to finish at some point. So that's why I wanted to make the correction. His only option right now is to go through E&O, and so the listers would say, hey, it's an error in admission, we need to just correct an error. Or he could have gone through abatement, which it just, he still has, he could have gone through that method. I think this is a cleaner, quicker method because really all we're saying is that I always just believe that the assessment should reflect what somebody actually has. So their real estate, their real property. If they don't have something, I don't think we should be taxing them for it. So I just would like to, request that we move the assessment from 273.4 down to 247.9 to make that adjustment.
It's 247.9.
$247,900.
You're gonna have to correct that on the,
Sorry, Shane. I
Motion.
didn't totally vet your motion.
What did I get wrong?
Just
273.4 and 247.9 are the accurate numbers, correct?
Yeah, so I put it on the, it's on the PBR 4261E. So that's the number that I would like change to 247,900.
yep.
My fault.
Oh, no, I didn't see that.
Well, I should-
247,900.
Correct.
And 273,400.
Oh, so, okay, so you didn't have that.
That was the current assessment.
Is
The
the
PBR
400 the actual change? Because on the PBR
Exhibit A.
Exhibit A, it says 273.
Yeah, that's changed from, so that's what he received the bill, and then the change to, did I give you the right, I mean, this is the, let me see.
Yeah, no, I thought I heard you say 273.4, that's all.
Oh,
That's what it says
that
here.
is true. Yeah, 273.4.
So we both,
So
I'm not the only one making
I think,
mistakes. I get it.
yeah, I believe, I have it right here in the 273.4.
Yeah,
Okay.
and the tax bills both have the same
Yeah,
thing
so
on
I
it.
have it wrong on this form, I'll have to correct that.
Yep. Anyone care to make that motion?
I move to correct a grand list error with regard to the assessment of parcel 004,037.000, also referred to as span 357-110-10647, changing the value from $273,400 to $247,900.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
How big is that?
32 by 20, 24 by 32. Yeah, our models are based on when the reassessment was done. It's not, I don't know. There's only $25,000 tree growth value, which in today's world is not a lot.
Minimal taxing.
Who seconded that? Sorry.
Somebody over here.
James, thank you.
So yeah, and when the reappraisal, that's when our models change, but kind of we're tied into the existing, the way things were valued back then. We're not doing fair market adjustments for what's going to cost.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you.
Moving on to 7B, E911 coordinator, approved name of existing private road, Wolfpack Drive.
So this was a request by the landowners on the road, and it's consistent with our requirements for any time that there's 3 or more dwellings on the same driveway that we request road name. Right? So I think we've talked about this in the past where maybe the town buys the sign the first time and then they're,
I believe that's what we came to an agreement on, is town buys the sign the first time and puts it in, and if the sign needs to be replaced, you are on the hook for the rest of it.
because it will essentially be a private road.
Yep.
If I may ask a question, is this the road off of, the right away off of Little Pond?
Yeah, so as you go, just at the base of
My
the hill
client
on the
put
left.
in for that name.
Yes, it is.
He never told me what he put in. But we'd like it, he needs, as my conversation with Will, he needs a name, even as a private road, he needs a name to get a 911 address,
Right.
which he would like to have. needs, I think, for the power company, even though there's a property up above it. I don't think has one, but, a building, but,
Right.
okay.
Anyone can make that motion?
I move to approve the naming of the private drive off of Little Pond Road serving parcel 017-002.001, 017-002.002, and 017-003.001 as Wolfpack Drive. This name shall come into official use, and the town shall erect a road name sign upon the commencement of construction of a third home or other approved primary structure along the private road as determined by the zoning administrator.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Alright, moving on to 7C, Local Cannabis Control Commission. Consider Vermont Cannabis Control Board Permit S 000009041 for an outdoor cultivator, Tier 1 small cultivator renewal on parcel number 0411010.000. What zeros?
Where is that? I'm sorry.
Springfield.
Anyone can make the motion?
You're the applicant?
I move to grant a local control license renewal to Myra Adams to operate a Tier 1 outdoor cannabis cultivation operation on property located at parcel number 04110.000, subject to compliance with and adherence to all town of Londonderry ordinances, regulations, and bylaws at all times.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. And moving on to 7D, Town Clerk, discuss process to appoint new town clerk to fill vacancy. So I believe today was the deadline for applications. As we said earlier, we have 2 applications and we will need to have a special meeting to interview both applicants.
Sounds good.
We
Can
want
it
to
be,
try and,
can it be part of a regular meeting and just have an executive session for that or not? Or
I think we were thinking about a special meeting because then we have other stuff to consider for this.
Very likely will for this, the move. We need to get, I'll talk about it later, but some office trailer sort of stuff or other arrangements. So there will be some further expenses that need to be addressed in short order.
And will need to be addressed before our next meeting, probably.
Yeah. Yeah, the next meeting after this is the 9th of September. And we move the week after next.
Yeah.
Well, next week, really.
Would it be beneficial to try it for next Monday, or because it's 3 weeks with the second Monday? 'Cause
Next Monday, the South Londonderry
20th.
Task Force is in here. They've already reserved the room. It's normally, because there was no planning commission, I guess they grabbed that date. Plus, the planning commission used to meet at 3:30, but so that was an open date that's now
Yeah.
being utilized. But we could move them into a different room. They could be in the Lister's office.
is there a date that would work the best because of those other decisions, or? Meaning, like, would Monday be too soon, or would it
Oh, for the
be more
applicants?
beneficial to capture other decisions?
Well, seeing that we do have one applicant here, is there a day next week that would work for you best?
You guys,
Okay.
I have Sunday, I'm going to Boston, drop my daughter at the airport.
Yeah, Sunday we wouldn't be doing it.
And that's it for me then.
All right, perfect.
Monday, Tuesday, I mean.
Tuesday,
I like deadlines, so.
Tuesday I can't do.
Let's just
Monday's
bang it out
fine.
Monday, we'll see what happens.
Monday?
I can do Monday.
Monday?
All right.
So Monday the 26th?
Do it 5 or 6.
Does, 5 or 6 work best for everyone?
I can do either one, so it's up to you
Either
guys.
one.
5?
5 is good.
So, next Monday at 5. We will see you here. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
I'll inform the other applicant.
All right.
And that's the 26th, we said.
Better put that on my calendar right now. All right,
I don't.
moving on to item 8. Transfer station solid waste management. 8A is updates.
I got a couple of things. First, the Londonderry hardware store. Jamie and Adam wanted to chat about an exit strategy for not selling punch cards there. Currently, they're the only commercial outlet we have other than the town offices, and the town offices' hours are not as convenient as the store hours. I had talked to Jamie, who was going to talk to Adam about the possibility of paying them as part of the sales, just trying to brainstorm different ways to do it. I included in the packet, when we went to the punch card system, we went through all of this stuff.
Yeah.
But no matter what we do other than an electronic system that Jamie feels would be the best if it happens at the transfer station. But Tina has always said that the cell service is lacking there, so we can't do it consistently. Before we get into that though, I wanted to bring up something else. Jamie had said that we have people coming into the hardware store that are Airbnb renters, and they are tasked with taking care of their own trash, which sounds wacky from all the Airbnbs that I have been at. And part of the issue is, even if they can buy a punch card, if the homeowner supplies the annual sticker, if they can buy a punch card, which they would have to do themselves, according to the owner, if they have a little bag of trash, they don't want to buy 5 punches or 10 punches. So I think that's an Airbnb issue that needs to be discussed with Andy Dahlstrom. I haven't gotten anything back from him when I've sent him emails, so I don't know what is happening with that, but I do think it's an issue we need to talk about.
Possibly having the owner of the Airbnb provide the punch cards.
Yeah, and the sticker, right? Yeah,
Right, that's the
makes
source.
sense, right?
Yeah.
We did have something in there about caretaker. I don't know if it specifically mentioned trash removal, but we did have something in the ordinance about a caretaker or someone local.
The caretakers, if they are picking up trash, have whatever they need, the annual sticker, punch cards. So that's not a problem. It's the folks who expect their renters to do it on their own, which it's a little crazy because how do they know how things work here? They come from places who do it very differently than we do.
Well, the ordinance could approach it in 2 different ways, really. It could be requiring the Airbnb owner to provide punch cards, or require the Airbnb owner to provide trash service.
Yep.
I mean,
Can I jump in whenever?
Yep.
I want to say, as a whole, as somebody who has a deal with the punch card every day, selling them, most of the people in this town do not like that system,
Do not like.
the punch card system. The second stop to see me, which I know that's great, but and I think the amount of administrative work that my wife is doing is being downplayed. Because there's cash to be counted, there's checks to be deposited, there's credit cards to, when the credit card machine is off, which we have, well, you all have been in our store, we have a credit card machine just for the don't cards. So I don't want you to feel like we're just like, wow, we're done with this. It's not like that at all. We just feel like it's getting to be too much. It's a lot more paperwork in the back end than you guys know. And my wife wanted to be here tonight, but she's at football practice with my son, so it's a lot of work.
I get
And
it, you know.
you know, as with every business in town, they're short-staffed. And when you gotta spend hours with the dump cards, trying to make it all work, and not to mention the amount of cash that we have. I mean, I pulled the drawers today, and it's a wad every day of cash that we feel responsible for, but it's not our money. It's not our money. And then we get the ugly people that just last week, somebody come in, Airbnb, this is where this came from. That guy at the dump's an a-hole. Why does your town do it like this? This isn't what it's like. And I'm like, I just want to help the town. But it's getting more than that. Everybody is ugly about it. And even today, like one of our employees I was working with, she's standing behind her, I'm just gonna stand here and sell dump cards today. Because of the amount. And to me, I'm like, I'd rather have her mixing a gallon of paint than having to deal with the town's money. So it's becoming a law. And it has been for a long time, but you know, we're trying to be good citizens. And it's just, we would like to be done the first of the year.
So it's a big issue because the hardware store sells a large number of punch cards, which equals a large amount of money.
Which we have to keep track of.
That
We
you
have
have
to
to keep track
recognize.
of, right.
It's a lot of cash. I mean, it's shocking. It really is.
Yeah, so I don't know how did
And you know, there's this whole, well, there's no internet or it's 2024. There's got to be a way, there's got to be somebody in this town that can figure out a system for the dump. And I think you'd have a lot happier residents if they only had maybe one stop.
So there'd be.
And there's that whole, like, there was.
Excuse me, no matter what we're gonna do, there's gonna be people who are unhappy with how we do it. Whether
Or
they
keep
have
them
to
unhappy at the dump.
pay and wait if we use the square, no matter what we use, they're gonna be unhappy people. They're everywhere. So we have to figure this out. And I think that maybe I should get together with Tina to try to figure out if we can do it at the dump. It's also training. It's also dealing with who's going to do it at the dump and how it's all going to work. So I will look into that.
We'd have to go to credit card only then, because we're not supposed to have cash. That's
Checks, we could do checks
Okay.
also, but.
Well, and that's where you're gonna find the unhappy people, because there still are people that wanna pay cash, so.
Is there any system out there at all that, like, stick $1 in, you get a soda, stick $1 in, you get some punch cards coming out?
You mean like a vending machine?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, we would be willing to put out a survey at the register. Like, what do you think? What would this work? I know that turns into that can spiral out of control. But basically, I'm here to tell you that we're not taking this decision lightly. We're not being, we're done. Because you guys know everybody in this room. It's getting to be too much.
Would there be an adequate financial reimbursement for the time? No.
That was no, so she talked to you about that?
What's that?
If you computed
Yes.
what it costs you, yeah.
And do you have people buying other stuff when they're doing that, or generally not?
I will tell you this morning, I paid attention because I knew I was coming here. And they come in for a dump card.
Yes.
And the problem with, if they come in for something else, we have to do 2 transactions.
Right.
If they're using a credit card, because the dump card machine does the non-cash adjustment. So you have a line, like a Saturday. You have a line of people, you got a guy that wants to buy a gallon of paint in a dump card, you have to do 2 you have to go from one register to the other.
Waste in this town.
Yep.
So, I had talked or thought about other locations, because we had a location in Weston, but that store was flooded and they're out of business. So it's either finding another location, and Londonderry seems to be the best place to find that location. I haven't talked to the other store owners. I just asked Bev if she was interested.
Now I got too much on my plate. But thank you.
So I will look into it. Okay, let's leave it at that for now. My other thing is I'm going to meet with Randy DeBron from Casella next week with Keith, who had a lot of questions and concerns that came from basically one of the drivers and then one of the other employees. And I don't think that Keith understands how it would work, so I asked Randy to come and meet with us to chat with him and talk about his concerns. And that's all I've got.
I didn't even come prepared to bring this up, but since we are on the subject of waste in Londonderry, may I please make my little pet peeve known? There are no trash cans in the shopping center whatsoever, except at my gas station. And people come in to buy their gasoline, and they have waste in their car. And when I have a place where they can put it, and we let people put it there. Of course, the shopping center does not provide any sort of waste pickup for any of the businesses in that area. So all of this waste comes back up to my store, and my dumpster bill is about $300 a month for 2 pickups. I don't know, is there any sort of a statute in town that has anything to do with waste removal or for businesses providing waste canisters? There used to be waste all up and down the shopping center. There's nothing there anymore.
So when Bobby Waite was a principal in the ownership of the plaza,
yeah.
I had talked to him about having a trash and a recycling container, so I did that.
Yeah.
And I never even noticed that they don't exist anymore.
They don't have it anymore.
So I'll contact you.
This is generating a lot of extra waste for me, is what I'm saying. And
I will tell you.
I just didn't know whether or not there's any sort of rule or regulation in town providing for waste receptacles to be out there for businesses.
No, there isn't. And being someone who used to actually do the job of picking the trash up at the plaza when I worked for Steve Gordon,
Yep.
I know why there's not trash cans there, because those things fill up in an hour.
Oh, yeah, well, mine does too. I mean, and it takes away from my
I hear what you're saying, is what I'm telling you, yeah.
And so I just wondered if there's anything there that could help me along with, the extra added costs that I'm having. So I'll just bitch to the guy that owns the shopping center to just raise my rent another up to $3,000 a month. So I'll see if I can get in touch with him.
I will tell you about that. He doesn't care. That's, I mean, we get stuff stuffed in our mulch piles, beer cans. I mean, it's ridiculous. But like you said, when the waste baskets were there, we had people leave a TV there, flat screen TV.
Really? Yeah. You never know what you're gonna get.
You could have emptied those trash cans every hour
We
on the
lock
hour.
hours.
Yeah.
We have locks on ours, but prior to that, it was horrible.
So after you worked for Stevie Gordon, I took over the plaza for Bobby Waite, and I would show up every morning, 7 days a week at 5:30. I would empty 2, 4, 6 cans, 2, 4, 6, and he had a regular trash can and a recycling can. I would wash the cans on the outside, put bags in, and then I would come back through at 10 o'clock in the morning, and all 6 were full again. So I was making that stop between 2 and 4 times a day, and it got very expensive on me because I had a dumpster as well.
Sure.
So I ended up going to a twice-a-week pickup with my dumpster. And eventually I did convince Bobby to put a dumpster in. There's a runway that goes back to the river, and there was a dumpster back there. But what I found was renters trash, people noticed that that was back there, and they started filling that up, let alone filling up the ones up front, and everybody else is in town. Mr. Wade, God rest his soul, had a humorous attitude to it, and we packaged some trash up to repeat offenders and sent it to them in the mail in New Jersey and Connecticut, with a nice note from Bobby and his attorney saying, please no longer do this. I shortly after that was told to take the cans away because it was very expensive for Bobby, it was very expensive for me. It's horrible that that's what people do, and they're still doing it to Bev. It's just, it's crazy. And I don't know what the answer is to that either. It's just, it's absolutely crazy when you're emptying trash cans like that 2 to 4 times a day. It literally is insane. Literally within hours, they're full again.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. So I don't know, on speaking on the whole punch cards and whatever, I'd like to say this. I have clients on Trout Club Road, and they're an Airbnb, and they were providing the punch tickets for their Airbnb people. Well, they're driving from Trout Club and they're heading home. They stop at the dump, they get one punch, they throw it away. And now the homeowner has to buy more, and so the homeowner stopped doing that, and now his trash bill is through the roof because people truly don't care. They just, I don't know how they do it. They'll have 6 large 33-gallon trash bags, and they're there for 2.5 days. It's insane. But they're not going to drive back and drop the punch card up in Weston. They're headed home. So I don't know how it would work with Airbnb properties either, but those tickets do come up missing, and the people pay for a full card, and one person's using it.
Esther, might a bank program work? Where I live, we have a bank program. You buy a sleeve of 20 bags.
It's the same difference. You buy 20 punches, you buy 20 bags. You still need a place to buy them that's convenient, right?
Mhm.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, I thought about that.
Because that way, they could have a sleeve of bags at the Airbnb or whatever, and you take your one bag and you bring it in.
Yeah, and that might work for that, but as far as the rest of the whole system, it's basically the same.
In a way, yeah. But it's you can buy individual bags, but most people buy a sleeve of 10.
Yeah.
Well, the one thing I noticed looking at wind halls is they only do 50 and 30-gallon bags. I use 55-gallon bags quite a bit. So I'm sorry, but
Yeah,
that's
I use
just
the biggest one
ridiculous.
I got. We call them body bags. They're so big, you know.
The other towns that use bags do 15 and 30 gallons, so.
Yeah, which is doesn't make any sense. You should have 55-gallon too if you're gonna do it.
How does Winhall do it? How do they do it? Do they have a punch ticket?
They have bags. You have to go buy your bags.
And they sell them at the, well, I don't know the name of that station, a bigger station that was built just south of the junction of 100 and.
Rawsonville Market.
Muhlenberg?
Yeah, well, not a keep, but the gas station.
Oh,
Yeah.
Rossville Market.
It's owned by the
Yeah,
same.
they sell them there.
All I know is I haven't seen a perfect system.
It's not even in Winhall.
Well, we don't have any meetings at our town parks. And we have been discussing this in our parks meetings of whether we're gonna put cans back or not, but our general consensus is no way, because people just,
Take it down.
there's one, and they'll take it to Penry Park and another park,
Or it's mine, or the grocery store is out behind the shop.
Yes.
Right, yeah, no, right, exactly.
Yeah,
There used to
access
be trash
cameras on
cans
his
in the pull-off
dumpster.
at the bottom of the river.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They were everywhere because people respected it.
Wondering if we can deal with
Nobody does anymore, so.
Williams Dam.
And there isn't much recourse either. I mean, when I get the pictures from Steve, I write letters to him.
Suggest that to
But most of the time when dumping in the dumpsters at the closet, you don't know who it is. right?
Somebody that doesn't care about what they did with their trash doesn't care about the letter.
Well, this is something I've been thinking about too. Is you just need to start calling the Vermont State Police and telling them illegal dumping.
They don't care. We don't.
The guy from Wyndham who dumped that mattress over, when I called the state police, believe me, he called me back a year later going, how much do I owe you? Because I will be at the town office in 10 minutes. he was gonna get a big fine. I would call the state police on every person who drops off illegal trash.
Just given all this that I really, I guess, wasn't really aware of, or only slightly, I just had a thought maybe there could be a satellite dump, like with a dumpster, full-time person there, whatever it's just gonna be come up with, whether it's continuing cars or whatever, at the plaza, so people can have a place to do it and not have to go toward Weston. But they're still part of the system if they have a special dumpster, just a satellite.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Something different.
Who's gonna wash that dumpster after hours?
Yeah.
Whatever they do there, they have to do here.
Well, you have to maybe an attendant.
Tom, the suggestion is to move
Exactly, yeah.
dam.
Just chill out and
Move it to 8 or something.
We don't need a satellite.
No, you couldn't do it.
People are crazy. I've had to go out into my yard
Yeah.
and ask people, what are you doing? As they walk through my driveway because they see my dumpster. Like literally pull in my driveway, bring their trash, and they're like, oh, well, we just thought we'd throw our trash there. I'm like, no, this is a private piece of property. That's for my business. No, you're not throwing your trash in my dumpster. People are crazy like that, they will.
And our transfer station is open more than most transfer stations in the area, by far,
By far.
and they still do it.
By far.
Town Wells is like 12 hours a week,
Yeah.
what they do Saturday and Sunday.
Of course, it's a little bit.
Well, we're still advertising for a Sunday position, so. That's the problem.
Nobody wants to work on Sunday, I know that.
No.
I do.
Everybody gets really religious.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think we're gonna solve that problem tonight.
Tom, I'm wondering if we can move the Williams Dam matter up,
Yeah.
because we have Ron Rhodes is here, and at home is Ben Green, the state's dam safety engineer.
Yep. I need a motion for that, please.
I recommend we move the discussion of the future of the Williams Dam noted as 10A, now move it up so that it is before 9.
8C.
You want it at 8C?
8.
All right,
Second.
all those in favor? Aye. So we move on to 8B then, review bid and award contract for solid waste management services.
Oh,
I thought
I think you're deal with the Williams Dam.
We just moved that to 8C.
Oh,
Oh, sorry. I guess it-
Are you satisfied with the bid, Esther?
I mean,
Yeah, and it's sort of like a holding place until we figure out the single
Oh.
stream. Do you have any information about the,
I needed to get in contact with Taylor about more concrete people. Cause I haven't heard back from anyone yet.
from anybody that you contacted?
Yeah, I haven't heard from anyone, so I gotta get some numbers from him and then I'll try again tomorrow.
You know, if you want to give them to me, I can follow up on that. I don't know who they are.
Yep. Alright, now anyone can make a motion.
I move to accept the bid from Casella Waste Management Incorporated for provision of solid waste disposal services and authorize the town administrator to execute all the necessary documents to employ the contractor, including a service contract after review by the town attorney.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now we will move to 8C, recommendation on the future of the Williams Dam. Not sure if we are fully ready to make a recommendation yet, but
I was gonna get, waiting at home is Ben Green, who's the state's dam safety engineer. So I'm gonna get him on the phone and put him in a fancy bowl.
I heard on the NPR that there's some town up north that's having one removed.
Yes.
Bellows Falls right now.
There's Bellows Falls, Wilmington.
Ben, hi, this
Wasn't
is
it
Shane
Wilmington?
O'Keefe with our select board and some visitors.
So yeah, people do it.
Very well. I'm gonna put you in the bowl, and hopefully you can hear us, we'll hear you.
Okay, thank you.
Sound quality's okay? Good. This is, Ben Green is the state's dam safety engineer for the state of Vermont. And also with us is Ron Rhodes from the Connecticut River Conservancy. But more importantly, the board has before it a discussion on the future of the Williams Dam.
So, as I've stated before, with the dam there, I know the dam study says currently if we just remove the dam only, it wouldn't do anything for downtown by Bevan Center. However, with other options that we were looking into, we have a fighting chance of maybe reducing the flooding. With that dam there, you might as well not even try. It's gonna flood. We're not gonna be able to do anything if that dam remains. I think the only concern that's been raised that is of any that should be considered is the fire department and the water. Other than that, I don't think there's any reason that dam should stay. It's not about eliminating the town's history. We will put up a plaque. It's been done in probably every dam removal you've done, hasn't it?
Not everyone, but a lot.
Well, most of them. You acknowledge the history.
Oh yeah, it's a great way to, historic preservation, state office, right, often requires that. And it's a great way to bring the history out in, the public about why the dam was originally built. How many people go to the Historic Society to read the, history of the dam, right? So put it right out, by the sidewalk in the park, so everybody can see it.
And I doubt I could ever find them again in my emails, but you have sent me different ones where it shows pictures of the old mill and the dam and everything, has it right up.
Yeah, in the scheme of a dam removal, as far as cost, right, the historic preservation sign, the kiosk is, minimal. It's like 10 grand. In the scheme of a, $300,000 project.
Can a dam removal project also include the cost of a replacement cistern for our town's fire departments? Because that's the biggest concern.
Yep.
Yeah.
We just did that in Wilmington last year. The
Tell
dry
us a
hydrant,
little bit about that.
yeah, the dry hydrant was above the dam, similar to here, right, upstream of the dam. And now there's a new structure. The state gave the town a grant, and they also have an engineer who comes to design it. So you have the stream engineer, Du Bois and King's, SLR, you guys have hired before, and then you have Troy Dare, who works for the state dry hydrant office, and they design it together. I actually was just on the phone with Chief Moore in Wilmington the other day, saying, how's it going, this summer, because it's a new system. He said, luckily we haven't had to use it, but he was going to go test it this week, and then if we have to go back and make changes or modifications, I've already talked to Troy, and we'll do that to make it right.
Is this a cistern arrangement?
Yep.
How many gallons is it hold?
I don't remember.
Would it be set up with, for like instant recovery in a riverbed?
Yep. So when we first put it in, they brought the fire truck down, they filled it up, they shot water out into the field, we sucked it down dry, and then it came back up. And it's right on the edge. Now that's a brook, right? It's not a big river as here, so it's much smaller. So it's gonna take a little longer to refill, but it's basically a concrete tank right on the edge of the river, and you put rock in the brook or in the river to give it, something to sit on and for the water to flow down into the base so it can fill up.
Would there be a way to calculate that recovery based on the need for the size of the cistern?
Yep.
There's some correlation between.
Yeah. That's what Troy does. The limiting factor, I was looking at, I stopped on the dam on the way here. The limiting factor is really the lift. So you only can do about 15 or 16 feet, drawing it up, out, according to Troy. I'm not, it's his expertise. So if we had to go 20 feet, then you're not gonna get enough draw. So I think based on what, just eyeballing it, I think it would be doable, but
So
we'd have to
you're
get
talking about a
Troy.
location below the current dam?
Probably,
For the
I
system?
would think so, on the park side, there's already access, fire truck could pull right up. But you'd have to verify, right? You get Troy down here, you get the engineer down here, and you have them look at that. see if
Currently,
that's
it's
possible.
located above the dam,
Right.
obviously, so that would.
So you need depth of water, you need lack of sedimentation, and then you need the lift issue, right? Those are the three things, and wherever it makes sense that the fire truck can get in, that's the other thing.
Access
You
is
don't want
key,
to put it
'cause-
on the, what is it, East Hill Road or Edge Hill Road?
Right.
Right. You don't want a fire truck pulling into there. So that's the other is access.
Yeah.
So it's gotta be somewhere out on 11. But we've done West Windsor, right behind the volunteer fire department. We pulled a dam out of there. We put in a series of rock weirs or veins across the river. That created enough draw and enough depth for their dry hydrant. And then we just did the one in Wilmington. So it's, Troy does them all over the state. So it's potentially, it's a solvable problem, assuming the lift is available.
One of the concerns with the dry hydrants that we do have is that they get washed out in major floods. Can we design a dry hydrant system that is not vulnerable?
The one we just put in Wilmington is a concrete circle, right, cylinder.
Like a bathtub?
That has holes in it, so the water comes in. So
Right.
point being, it's half buried and it's, a huge concrete structure. I mean, maybe in an Irene type event that,
Yeah.
might, but in a normal spring flow, not going anywhere.
Okay.
Yeah. It's got a manhole cover on the top, so you get access to it.
I wish your dad was here.
Well, that was gonna say, this is the only
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying with that one, but we have had one in South Derry that's washed out multiple times in a major flood event. So I guess that's the concern that.
Well, that's just a simple dry hydrant though. That-
River, right?
This is a big concrete structure in there.
The cistern is a
Just
different
saying.
system.
Yeah,
He
it's a
just
little
said, what he just said in an Irene event, that it could wash out.
Yeah.
So
It's worth visiting.
it's worth,
Wilmington
it's something he just said that we have to pay attention to as well.
I think a cistern behind the plaza is probably definitely something that needs to be done.
And that would be, yeah,
And
same.
I know USDA has grants and loans to do stuff like that as well.
But like he said, plowing and access are gonna be the two biggest things, because we don't have a lot of room to maneuver.
Well, and capacity too, because now they're used to endless capacity essentially, so if the replacement doesn't quite meet that, then having multiple locations, maybe different funding. or
Tell them we
whatever.
need 1,000 gallons per whatever, and, then you design it to that.
Yeah.
Well, but it's still endless in a cistern, right? The same amount of water's coming down the river.
Right, but you'd have to do some calculating to, if they could drain the cistern and then they had to sit there and
And
wait.
wait.
Yeah.
So you size the cistern so that they could fill a truck and it would recover
Right.
before the next
Right,
truck
right,
needed
right,
to be
right.
filled. Or have multiple locations.
Got it.
And, if Shane or the fire chief is interested, and all you have to do is submit the grant application to Troy, and then he'll come do a site visit, right? Like, you don't have to, go through with the grant, but we can get him down to do a site visit if you just fill out that one-page form, and then whether or not you actually go for the money someday or not, right? But he can't really come do a site visit until he's got that application.
I do believe the Londonderry Fire Chief has prior contact with Troy about, so I'm sure he has his contact, he'll reach out,
Yeah, I know you probably does.
yeah.
Is there a way to synchronize so that we agree that we do need a cistern, but that we get that in place before we remove the dam or something? I'm thinking about wanting to make sure that we don't leave ourselves vulnerable.
Well, I believe you would have to have something in place and prove that it works before we could do that.
Right.
I think it might be hard to put something in place because
Yeah.
you don't know what's gonna be
I know,
there
I'm not sure how,
after.
what you're synchronizing, but yeah.
Right, because the spot you might put it is currently where the gatehouse is, or, you know,
Yeah.
where concrete is, or, yeah, so it's,
Yeah.
like in Wilmington, we did the dam removal first, and then we installed the dry hydrant. Now, it's designed as one part, you know, one project. right?
Correct, yeah.
So they've taken all that into consideration, but the dam probably has to come out first before you can, you know, install a new hydrant, unless it's somewhere else, right?
Right, unless on some dry piece of property you created a temporary cistern, you know, just like a feed tank or something.
I would wonder if Ben had any thoughts on any of that?
Yep.
Hey, Ben?
Still there, man?
Yeah, but I don't really have too much of thoughts on that. It's not really a safety issue.
Thank you.
Chad, you go first.
Yeah, my question is, I think you mentioned, Tom, maybe it wasn't you, but somebody said something about putting a cistern behind the shopping plaza. It is my understanding that the shopping plaza doesn't have it sounds a little off, doesn't have a generator for when power goes out. Today, power went out, the plaza is completely empty. My understanding is the plaza doesn't have a generator because of wetland or because of flood area or something like that. But so would we be able to put a cistern in there if it's a wetland and a flood area? That's my only question is, can we do something there? If the plaza can't have a generator, how can we have a cistern? That's the question.
I can't fully answer that, but I think fire safety would trump a lot of stuff. I would think. I'm not gonna guarantee that.
Yeah.
One thing,
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, one thing to add to, the town actually has a small corner of property at the edge of Gary Woods too, that would guarantee access to the river's edge as an alternate location.
And I had brought up with, I spoke with Chrissy from, who's doing the wastewater, she's the engineer. And I brought up the option of maybe putting a fire pond up on the Custer Shark property. Said that might be hard because there's a lot of wetland up there and the wetlands might not like that. So that one might not be an option. Bob?
I guess one of the things, and I have some historical pictures, is that, and I'm here kind of representing the three individuals that were on the committee, and with their background, that recommended that we repair. And I just want to clarify that the idea of repair, at least on behalf of the three individuals that voted that way, was about repairing the gate, which is a fairly easy, relatively inexpensive process, which then would allow you to have a better understanding, because you would be able to open the gate and a better understanding of what the dam is, the pond is, what it would take in terms of repairs on the dam, depending on what your goals are in terms of repair. And also eliminate any misunderstandings of what the dam is. I feel that some of the decision-making is incorrectly, based on incorrect assessments of what the dam is and what the condition of the dam is. And so the committees, and there's no question that in terms of fire protection, maintaining that was a real priority. It's also, and I think for the three of us, there is the historical nature of it, the maintenance of a mill pond as opposed to that disappearing. And I understand some people that doesn't matter to them and they don't care, don't want to spend any money on it. But at the same time, I'm not sure that it's going to take big dollars to maintain it, if you will. And I have some historical pictures of the dam from 1810 on, and also the current condition and situation, which I'm happy you're willing to share. But what I'm speaking to at the moment is trying to explain the position of those of us that are in favor of the town fixing the gate and doing further research on what might absolutely need to be done to continue to have the dam in its existence. If the dam disappears, we do lose the aesthetic aspects of it. There is a change, and you may benefit some fish and wildlife to a limited extent. You will lose some wetlands, so there's a trade-off. And if the position of the town or the townspeople is we don't want to spend any money on it, period, so let's just get rid of it, I can't really argue against you on that point, right? That's your opinion and that's the position you want to take. We happen to feel that there is some value in its presence and in the historical value. We're going to spend a fortune on this building.
We could spend about the same amount on this building that we have to spend on that dam.
Oh, there's very...
It's gonna be 1.5 million plus, probably.
Pardon?
Probably gonna be 1.5 million plus. Trying to repair that dam,
no, that is-
hold on, Bob. Trying to repair that dam is throwing good money after bad. The only thing you should do if you're gonna keep that dam is put a new one in.
No.
That dam is it's an earthen dam that has a very
That's not
high...
an earthen dam.
It's an earthen dam with a concrete...
And you'll know what the dam is.
It's an earthen dam with a
Fix the
concrete...
gate and you'll know what the dam is.
Fixing that
I have
gate...
pictures to show you.
Oh, fixing that gate will do nothing. It will not reduce flooding at all.
Not for flooding purposes.
That's what the gate is
never
for.
what I said. First of all, it was put in after the 1973 flood.
Yeah.
I know what it was because I was part of putting it in. It was never used. The couple of times that it was attempted to be used, property owners in town were all upset that the gate got opened up prior to a flood because they were all worried about additional flooding. Ask Don Hazelton. It's really never been used successfully for that purpose of reducing flooding. It might be able to be used in small floods, and I agree. I agree with you on that, and I agree with the engineers on that. That it's not going to be a flood control dam, a gate. But the existence of the dam, but having that gate operational without spending a lot of money on it, you can understand better what you have above it. You can make a better evaluation of what needs to be done, if anything needs to be done, other than the repair around the gate. I have these pictures here that goes back to 1810, and the leakage in the dam is the same. It's just a historical perspective on what this dam is. And it's not what was using, well, I can go back to Du Bois King's report and statements.
I wonder if you want to get...
Structural stability of the dam was not analyzed for this study. However, the dam is likely experiencing unintended loading from sediment deposits. I proved already, and he even agreed in his last report after the last flood, that there was no silt of any consequence behind the gate. That's an open hole behind the dam. No silt. You have leaking more than halfway down the dam. So it's loaded with silt behind it. In this pictures, I have been taking pictures this summer, and in this picture, you can see behind the dam when it's not overflowing, you don't see silt, you see rock. Also, I have two pictures here that I took this summer, one when we didn't have any water going over the dam, one on 8/14, and you can see the inlet for the hydrant that the fire department would like to protect and preserve. That inlet is visible. It's only 10 feet off the bank of the mill pond, and it's visible. The silt buildup is above it. The silt has been there forever because we never opened the gate.
Still has not been there forever because that was pretty deep when I was a
It's
kid.
been there.
I used to fish there when I was a kid.
But then you have a big storm and it gets reduced because it gets washed out and then
It didn't
the
get-
basement of our shop.
We got a big storm and that silt was not reduced very much, sorry.
I was wondering if we can ask Ben Green about the idea of repairing the gate at the dam. If that was just your thoughts about that.
Doing a gate repair would be a permitted activity, so it wouldn't need to have an application. Be passed through plan developed by an engineer and go through our office for approval and review approval. I think that's one of the deficiencies is that area in general and the operability of the gate. So I mean, I guess getting that working would be a positive step in the direction if rehabilitation's being, or at least really any of the alternatives, if you may want it for kind of whatever alternative you're doing. I guess I would just comment that, again, the dam safety program is agnostic as to what your final determination is. It's just that we do have dam safety standards that are forthcoming and the dam will need to have, periodic inspections performed. If it remains in place, it will need to have updated emergency action plan every couple of years. It will have to have a comprehensive assessment every 15 years. Those are the things that should be planned on, in terms of like long-term planning for costing and things like that, and capital planning. If the dam is kept, there needs to be at some point a capital project to make improvements to it. Quiet gate, being a poor condition, a significant hazard dam, but that's really what I can offer.
And I got a question for you, Ben. This is Tom Cavanaugh, Select Board Chair. In the new dam safety rules, it states that you can require us to repair the dam. As far back as we have records, going into the 90s, the state has been saying that that dam needs repair. You have been recommending that, but once the new rules take effect, you can mandate that we do it. And the rules actually state that you can actually take over the dam and do it whatever you want with it and then charge us for it. So I assume we're gonna get as soon as the new rules take effect, we're gonna get a dam order saying you need to repair your dam.
I can't say with the time that is true. We will have the authority to require improvement rather than the past. We did not have that authority. We could only simply make recommendations in all the most dire situations. I can't speak to what the timing of that will be. At that point, at least a comprehensive assessment will be required, which will be basically more detailed engineering analyses, including stability analyses and other things that are going to be necessary for significant hazard potential dams that will kind of help set the stage for what a rehabilitation project would be. I can't speak to the timing. I can say this is a significant hazard dam. We have high hazard potential dams that are also in poor and unsatisfactory condition that will most likely be focused on first in terms of timing. I can't say it will be unlikely to be right away, but it will be at some point in the future. Roughly on the periodic inspection schedule in terms of rough timing, so it could be sometime in the next 5 years.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, I have to confess that I got my radiology test, but I haven't gotten my hearing. So
It was a little-
you'll have to let me know what he said.
What he said is the high priority dams will come first. Our dam probably 5 years from now will be looked at more substantially, and we will probably get an order.
I think there are new rules,
To
even
repair
it's
that
either
dam.
10 or 15 years, it's a separate engineer study that's required.
It varies
And
by,
I mean, it's every 5 years.
it varies by
D-
classification.
In DK's original report, they, gave you all your different options and as I pointed out, and there's much more to it, where they basically explained that they didn't do a structural analysis, they just made assumptions.
They weren't asked to do a structural analysis, they were asked to get prices on
That's
what it was
fine,
gonna
but
cost.
then they go ahead and make comments referring to structural integrity when they didn't do anything for structural integrity. And I think that that's pretty piss poor, and I have these historical pictures and the information, and actually the information for the borings that were done for the last bridge that were put in, which SLR used, are a perfect example. You actually know where the ledge is underneath the bridge. That kind of thing could be done in regards to the dam itself as well, where you did borings a few feet back behind it and determine what's there. And that would be easy to do, and that's to make a better determination of the structural integrity of it. I'm using historical pictures as a way of demonstrating the structure's longevity and health, because it's not looking very different than it did in 1910, although there is some significant differences, because clearly some work was done on it shortly after it, but the mill and the bacon store were still there. I have 3 copies of this, and I'll leave them.
Here's my question for you, Bob.
Pardon?
2 million, 3 million, how much money do you want to spend on this dam?
You're all making an assumption. You are making an assumption about how much money it's going to be, and I'm trying to point out.
I'm making an assumption off a study that was done, 7,800, 7,900, hold on, Bob, hold.
What study? What study?
D&K, $700,000 to $900,000 to repair the dam. That was what, 4 years ago? So we're looking 1.5, bro. 1.3.
Stability of the dam was not analyzed for this study.
1.3.
However, the dam is likely to. They proposed a budget and repairs without knowing what might actually need to be done. They designed essentially building a dam above it or building a dam below it. Didn't do anything in terms of repairs or understand what the dam is as it stands right now.
It's an earthen
Again,
dam.
this is something that's been there for close to 250 years.
It's an earthen dam with a concrete
It survived
cap.
4 to 5 100-year floods in less than 100 years.
We know this, yes.
So I'm saying to you, you're making the assumption that the structural stability is so poor that we are going to be mandated by the state to rebuild it or tear it down.
No, we're gonna be mandated to do repairs.
And you're and you're saying that DK's design for repairs where they didn't even do a structural analysis are what it's gonna be.
Since the early 90s at least, because a lot of the paperwork has disappeared because of the Irene flood, we have been told that that dam is in dire need of repair, and no one has done anything to it since then. So I'm sorry, it's time to do something. And I don't think repairing
They don't even know what they want to do with it.
I don't think repairing an earthen dam is worth anything. You either replace it or you get rid of it. Because I don't think repairing an
There
worth
lies
money.
a difference of opinion, for sure.
And I appreciate history more than anyone, believe me. And we're not trying to take away the town's history. We were both apart. And we are never going to do anything for flooding in this town if that dam remains there. That is my personal opinion.
All right, now let's go back to your engineers. They tell you that there is no difference whether the dam is there or whether it's gone.
But
That
guess
the
what?
flooding is the same.
Bob,
Downstream.
we have other projects.
Downstream.
We have floodplain restoration and elevation projects that could add into the puzzle of taking that dam out and reduce flooding. The dam
Well,
is
and
one
those
piece.
are contradictory to,
The dam is one
those
piece.
are contradictory to both of your engineers' reports on what the flooding would be.
Only on one
That
spot.
statement is contradictory to both of your engineers telling you that the flooding would be no different with or without the dam.
Downstream.
Downstream, yes. We
And
also
so now you're
have,
telling me that we can't do anything about the flooding with the dam there?
I'm telling you, you get rid of that dam, you have other options you can pursue to reduce flooding. But those options are worthless with that dam there, I'm sorry.
You don't have to explain those options.
It's digging down the floodplain. They looked at the one option at the Platt spot, which did not do anything, but there are multiple options in this town. There's property on the transfer station, there's property we're looking at next to the fire, or the rescue squad. There's multiple properties that we can dig down to a foot above the water, and you create more flood storage. By doing this, we have a fighting chance. I'm not saying it's gonna do anything.
Once again,
I'm not saying it's not. We have a fighting chance. But with that dam there, we don't have a fighting chance.
There's a lot of explaining to go on that because SLR did not, they said that there would be reduced flooding back up into the area of where the state garage is. They weren't talking about it being reduced above that.
Yeah, they were. They were talking about it being reduced up by the rescue squad. I read the report. I listened to the meetings. They talked about the water not going over Route 100 by the rescue squad. I don't know what report you read, but that's what their report said. Paul was there.
Well, I know there's no question that if the dam isn't there, that you're going to reduce the flooding above of the bridge and the dam. And of course, then there's an argument that one can get into, and that at least for a short period of time, there is some holdback of water, obviously, with the bridge and where it's at. But basically, your studies are still saying that there's no difference in flooding downtown.
They only looked at the dam in one spot for a flood elevation, latest study. I'm talking about multiple spots throughout town. One on Utley Brook, multiple ones on West River. You can't say that there's not a possibility that that can reduce flooding. I'm not saying it's gonna. I'm saying it gives us a fighting chance of trying to reduce flooding in town.
Paul heard, Paul maybe he was on the committee, and he talked about the dredging of the mill pond and creating that. If that was all dredged.
The mill pond.
And if you were actually able to have the gate open.
You will never.
And you were able to remove all the water. As I remember Paul saying, it would give you about how many minutes of relief?
With the dam there, it'd give you 14 or so.
If you could time everything perfectly and close that gate, you'd have 11 minutes of peak flow till the flood.
That's with the dam there.
That's with the dam there. Can I just add a couple things to what Bob said?
Absolutely.
There's a lot there. I apologize for jumping all over the place. Going back to the main reasons why the committee voted for repairing the dam, it was far and away fire safety, and a much lower, number two, was historical.
Correct.
And that's not speaking out of school on that. I don't have the historical thing. I'm relatively new in town. But there are some things that became clear to me in the last 6 weeks that I didn't realize or didn't know beforehand. First off, I stopped at the dam. I don't know if you guys see me. I ride my bike around town 4 or 5 days a week. I stopped at that dam virtually every day in the month of July, and there was no water going over this dam for the entire month. Not until the rain started, I believe it was July 31st or August 1st. Right. So there was a period of time, and gradually the level behind the dam was slowly but steadily dropping throughout the entire month. Which led me thinking to Bob's concerns, well, if we fix the gate, which is relatively inexpensive, everybody agrees on that, and we can open and close it, it'll give us a better idea. You don't need to fix the gate to get a better idea. A blind man can see that when there's no rain, that water goes out of that dam through its leaks faster than it comes in behind it
from upstream. If the concern is, and the major concern is, we need the mill pond for fire safety, then not repairing the leaks in the dam basically throws that entire argument out the window and it says it's not important. I haven't been here in a summer where you got 2 months with no rain instead of 1 month. I don't know how low that thing goes. But as fast as it was dropping in a relatively short period of time, you can see that if those leaks are left, then the argument that you need it with minimal amount of repairs for fire safety holds no water, no pun intended. In addition to which, to reiterate what the SLR, one of the things it did say was, and they used the borings that Bob points out from doing the Route 11 bridge, wherever that was, and they did some other probes of their own. They didn't do borings, they did some probes. They estimated that if the dam was removed, that there would be a much smaller pond, but there would still be a pond with roughly, I believe it was 3 acre feet, whatever that, it came out to about 1 million gallons of water. And that's an estimate. You don't know exactly what that would be in reality unless everything was removed, and you could actually see exactly where the bedrock was and how much water did accumulate behind it. In addition to which, you had the pool at the base of the dam, which should remain. And that pool was basically the same depth at the end of July as it was before the small drought we had. The point I'm making is there is water there, and if through grants cisterns could be put in, that you can, it may not be as good as you have now, as long as there's water behind the dam, but there will be adequate water per the engineers. This is not per me, I don't know a damn thing about it. Again, no pun. I'm sorry. To alleviate those concerns. This does not speak to the historical aspect of it at all. As far as to the flooding, and once again, these are, we were, I think, surprised at the answer that the removal of the dam does virtually nothing to alleviate flooding downstream of the dam, but it does do quite a bit in certainly the lesser floods above the dam. What else can happen with other projects you're referring to wasn't part of our studies, but I just, sorry for rambling. But.
And one other thing I'd like to point out is, with that dam there, I've been told by the state on multiple occasions that we will never dredge behind that dam. You're not getting a permit. It's not happening.
Not what?
You're not getting a permit to dredge behind that dam. Until that dam is gone, that part will never be dredged.
Why?
That's from the state. Why? Because most likely benefit cost analysis is not there. Spending a bunch of money to dredge something that's just going to fill in with silt again.
Manchester has 3 different rivers that they're cleaning out because they don't like to use the word dredging anymore. Manchester has 3 different rivers that they are cleaning out. Ludlow,
Marie
2 rivers that they're cleaning out.
Marie Caduto was here and said on limited, very limited scopes, you can clear out some debris. It's not dredging. It's clearing out some of the debris that was left over from the last storm. It's not dredging.
Let's clear out some of the debris in the pond.
You are not going to get a permit. It's never going to happen. Sorry, it's not going to happen. Just stop even considering it, because the state is not going to let you.
I have just sort of a technical question, and I'm not sure to whom to address it, but I believe there's ledge right at that dam spot. Is that right?
Yes.
Do we ever consider blasting the ledge to even make more gradual the slope, or is that totally off the,
I can assure you V-Trans would veto that in a heartbeat.
because of the bridge above it?
Yeah, you're, half of the dam is within their right of way.
And DEC is not gonna let you change the river that way either.
They won't, okay, it's just a silly thought.
Occasionally, we have hammered on ledge, you know, to ensure fish passage.
So whatever we've got remaining there, if we did take the dam off that structure, it stays and it will still provide some backup. It's a natural feature, okay.
Yeah.
So I have a question. When he was talking about the dam in Wilmington that you took out,
Yep.
was or is the town of Wilmington, where you're talking about that dam, was that town built around the dam? Was the dam there first, like Londonderry? Because my question is, Londonderry was built around the dam. The dam was there first. We do not know what is going to happen with the dam gone. To the town of Londonderry, to anything below, anything above, if we get a major flood. So my question is the dam that you took out in Wilmington, was the town there first? Was the dam there first? Because in this town, the dam was here first. The town was built around that dam. We removed that. Anybody that was here before that dam, or the town was built, has now passed away. We do not know what is going to happen. So that, for me, is the concern. We make that mistake of taking the dam out and not knowing. With that decision we make, we are all, as a town, going to suffer the consequence of removing that dam, because once it is gone, you cannot replace it, and we can't take back what we've done.
Wilmington wouldn't be a good comparison, but East Burke, we did a dam removal in 2016, and that town was built around that mill. It was an old wooden mill, and the dam was there ever since. And the same thing happened, right? The dam stopped being used, it filled in with sediment. It was a significant hazard dam, the state wanted it out, and we removed it, and we talked a lot about floods. Like Lyndonville is right downstream, right? One of the worst towns in the whole state for flooding. We talked to the engineers, the hydrologists, the state. We met with Lyndonville more than East Burke even about the impact downstream. And essentially, because these old dams are not holding back any water, there's no increased flood risk downstream. It may not reduce the flood risk, as the SLR study said here, for those downstream businesses, but it doesn't increase the risk either, is what. But they run all that hydrology as part of this, you know, process if you were to go down that road.
Right.
And you would have that answer through that process. So you may decide at that point it doesn't make sense or it doesn't work. But right now you don't have any of that data.
And the only reason I'm asking is, before we make a hasty decision, whether we think about everything that there is to think about, we argue, we fight, bitch and moan, whatever we're gonna do about it, that's one thing that we think about, because we do not know. And to me, that's the biggest, besides the fire, that's my biggest thing, is we don't know what's gonna happen.
Well, the SLR study just determined from a flooding standpoint what would happen. And again, it's no impact downstream, but there is impact upstream, such as during the last flooding where the intersection of routes 111 was flooded. The analysis indicates that it would not be flooded. So you would have the ability to go from Route 11 to Route 100 before you couldn't. So there is, through that last study, from a flooding standpoint only, an analysis of the before and after.
And by Lazarus, it wouldn't go over the road either. So.
Say again?
Excuse me?
And up by Lazarus, up by the rescue squad, said it wouldn't go over the road either.
Right.
And can I just ask another thing? If this whole thing of the removal of the dam is so that when there is a flood, for us to be able to access and get out of the town or get to other places, the other thing to consider is we're not going to get to other places because other places are going to be flooded. We're not making it from here to Springfield Hospital if we have to. We're not making it from here to Rutland because of other towns around us that flood. We're not going to make it in a great distance of having to have access to things.
But one thing that is of big benefit, I think, is that rescue squad person can get from the rescue squad building to Magic, or the rescue squad building towards Weston. Yes, they're gonna hit flooding eventually, but they can get farther now. They can reach places.
Possibly, we don't know 100%, but possibly they can, from what the studies show.
And if I can add, I think Tom, if I lived here, right, if this were part of my community, I think Tom has hit on a valid point of there might be other things you can do, and they've done this on Otter Creek to relieve flooding in Rutland, where there's so many wetland and floodplain capacity now on that river that if you look at the USGS gauges, the stream flow gauges, the upstream gauge has more water in it than the downstream gauge. That's backwards, right? Every other river in the state, it gets more water as you go downstream and your tributaries flow in. And the only reason is because they've designed and created so much floodplain access and wetlands. The river has a place to spread out, slow down. It floods, but it's not the devastating flooding, right? So if you have those type of places, like SLR talked about that little patch downstream, it doesn't give you a lot of flood storage capacity. But if there are other places where you could do that in addition to dam removal, then maybe you actually do have some way to tell those businesses, you might not flood. You're never going to have an engineer say, you'll never flood again, right? They're not going to say that. But the chances, the percentage, right, drops.
I have another question then. So like, Tom, you said the land by the rescue squad.
Yep.
We have the option to purchase that. It's like 5 acres. So we can't get in the river to clean up the debris. We're not gonna use the word dredging. But yet we can get in the river to make that a pond. Am I right?
You're not making it a pond, you're digging it down so it's about a foot above the water level at a normal time.
Okay.
And then when it floods, that's all extra flood storage right there.
And it becomes this big area of water. Am I right? Hold on a sec, Bob.
Yeah, it'd be water.
Okay, so with that being said, now you go in there and you dug it down, like you just said, to wherever. What happens to all the vegetation that is holding all of that together that we have now destroyed, and a flood comes? What holds that in place?
You replant it.
We just did a floodplain restoration project in Plymouth. We just finished it. We took out a berm that was created after Irene that cut off the river from its floodplain and the downstream wetland. And we just lowered the elevation level of that whole bank by 4 feet. So now on a high flow, the river can go out into the floodplain and into that wetland. Just gives it more space, gives it a chance to slow down and settle out, right? Part of that is seeding and mulching, which the contractor did, and then we'll be back in the spring planting native trees and shrubs in that area. A lot of wetland grasses, and shrub willows and dogwoods, right? Stuff that likes to be wet. And so that is similar to what Tom's talking about. If you had those places in town where you can do that type of work, totally permittable and fundable with grants. And that could give you enough other relief. I don't know, I haven't run the numbers, but if you have those
we haven't run the
possibilities,
numbers yet, but even if we go as far up into Weston, because we have identified, the working group between Weston, Jamaica and Londonderry has identified a lot of territory up in Weston too. It comes all the way down to Londonderry. There's a lot of floodplain that can be created on that river. Is it gonna make the big difference? I'm not sure. But it'll make some difference, that's for sure. And some difference, I mean, look at these guys here, some difference is better than no difference, I would think. I mean, I didn't build this town on a river. I'm trying to save this town on a river. That's what I'm trying to come up with options for.
These are all, they aren't concrete plans. They're suggestions of things that might happen. For me personally, I would like to know those plans, have them concrete, know that that is going to happen before the dam is removed, or that I know it's going to happen after the dam is removed. Not use these arguments that, oh, well, we can do all these things once the dam is gone. Let's have that plan. Let's see how that's going to affect us before we remove the dam.
Well, I've been working since the flood to come up with this plan, and I'm still working on it.
That's fine, you're still working on it. Don't move the dam yet. And fix the gates and do a better job of understanding what you have and what it would take to maintain it.
It's sort of.
Paul brings up the fact that it loses water and that it drops. It has been doing that since 1810. Here's a picture. No water going over the dam. It leaks. It's leaked since 1810 to the point where water doesn't go over it in the middle of the summer. And I have these two pictures and the one on July 29th, which was after quite a while of not having any water, and the hydrant, which is 10 feet off Mill Pond, is still in 2.5 feet at least of water and exposed, and you can see it. And then on 8/14, after we got all this rain, you can still see it, but now it's 3.5, 4 feet down in the water. But historically, that has gone on with so many pictures, ancient pictures of no water going over the dam because it leaks. And it always has.
If I could just make a point, Bob was talking about timing. Even if the select board voted tonight to pursue removal,
right,
you're looking at 3 to 5 years for it to actually happen, right? I mean, it's not a quick process. In 3 to 5 years, it's like, if everything goes right. I got one up in Coos County in New Hampshire right now. This is year 8. So it takes time. So you're gonna have time, no matter what you guys decide, you'll have time to, look at other options and, put a plan together.
But if I could real quick, though, you had indicated in years past that the money available for something like this, in order to take care of it for the town at no cost, that will go away at some point. Is that correct?
The federal money, right? All of that infrastructure bill, right? All the ARPA, all that money is 5-year time frame. The state money, the state clean water block grants, bins, I forget what they call it, Ben, but a dam safety grant, the state money's there. But
So we're not going to miss any deadlines for decision making?
like next spring will be the deadline for the next dam removal grant, right? They usually put it out in, due in April.
If I remember correctly, the way you put it at, I believe it was town meeting, was it will be harder for you to find the funding, but you will find it.
Yeah, because you won't have those federal grants available, right? You will only have state grants. If you wait for 5 more years before you make a decision,
it's going to be hard.
You'll be working with the state only, and then you're going to have to ask the state for $500,000, right? We're doing the project on the Saxons River you mentioned earlier. I get 7 grants, and it's a $400,000 project. We get 50K there, we get 100K there. So I've never found anyone to give me $500,000 for, to do one removal. So you cobble these grants together. So that's where you would run into a problem, right? You might get $250,000 from the state and you're $250,000 short. Now you're gonna pay for that, or, so that's where it gets trickier and harder, the longer you wait.
I don't think it's unreasonable for us to take Bob's suggestion that as part of the dam itself's work, we also identify some of these other pieces that do fit into the big puzzle, whether it's what you are studying and learning about happening up in, not Ludlow, but off of Terrible Mountain and Mount Holly. So that it does feel like more of a master plan about what we're trying to accomplish here. Just wrapping around the sole project of dam stays, dam gets repaired, or dam goes. I think all these other pieces need to also be as equally addressed.
But like I said too, is these floodplain elevation and restoration projects, there's no point in them with that dam there. They're not going to do anything.
I'm not disqualifying that at all. All I'm just saying is whatever we come up with, And that's our job. Whatever we come up with, let's make a commitment to making sure that as many of the other pieces of the puzzle can be put in place as well.
Many of these projects are gonna be 10, 20 years.
Absolutely, yeah.
This is not gonna be.
It's not an overnight toggle
No.
switch tonight, yeah.
Definitely not.
Well, I agree with Martha. I think we need to take in every piece and analyze every piece, not just one thing. And I will say about that Du Bois study, it does speak to Bob's point of, they did recommend to also repair the gate behind the dam. So, and if there's no structural analysis, I for one would like to know what the structural integrity of that dam is and what the repairs are gonna be like before I make that decision. I'd like to balance the two.
The initial study with Du Bois and King was $50,000, which was approved at town meeting. $50,000, we actually got a good product for that amount of money. I've heard of other, you probably know even better, other analyses like that, hundreds of thousands of dollars to really do a thorough analysis. We simply, and that was based upon a town meeting vote, wanted to get an order of magnitude on the three choices of, repair, replace, and remove.
I think that comes back to my question of how many millions of dollars do we want to put into this dam?
Didn't the state do a structural analysis? Isn't that what the significant hazard is?
That was the
was the
change
Bobby
to
King.
significant hazard happened
That's-
during the Du Bois and King.
Yeah, that's the
study.
definition though. It basically is.
Let me ask Ben. Ben? Hey, Ben?
Yeah.
Didn't you guys do a structural analysis of the Williams Dam?
No, the significant hazard potential is relative to the potential impact downstream should the dam fail.
Okay.
It's relative to the hazard potential classification. Your high hazard potential classification when the dam would fail, it would result in probable loss of life. A significant hazard dam is one that if the dam were to fail, it would not result in probable loss of life, but it would result in significant property damage, lifeline loss or environmental damage. And then a low hazard dam is a dam that if it were to fail would result in essentially little if any impacts downstream.
Yeah, it's just the definition that changed.
Yeah, Ben, the other thing that I've noted, I know that the state has been and keeping up with guidelines, federal guidelines and so forth, in part, as I understand it at least, classifications, guidelines have changed to a certain extent, rather significantly. So some of that is not necessarily just what condition you think or believe the dam is in, but what if the dam completely failed, that this is what classification is now because there's so much water that would come down through. I, of course, would be making the argument that the chances of this dam completely failing is not possible. But that said, that's not the way it's going to work when it comes to classification. And I have noted at the committee that the dam, which the state inspects and for the Magic Mountain snowmaking pond, which was done before the last flood and failed, is a significant hazard dam and was rebuilt for this coming season, or actually for just barely for last season, was rebuilt under state guidelines. It's a significant hazard dam. 1 year after it had been completed, it failed. This is why history, to me, and looking back at what you have, gives you a better understanding of what you have. In that case of the mill pond, or the snowmaking pond, it's an earthen dam. This is a major stone dam. I don't think there's even much concrete below what's on the lip. I'd be surprised if there was. And if you go back to these pictures that I have here, at the very top of the dam, this picture being 1910, when all of that was there, and you look at the three pictures I have, including the one I took on 710, the rocks that are just below the concrete, which is different from 1910, but the rocks that are just below it to the right of the gate are the same rocks. This is not a dam in risk of total failure, in my opinion.
he asking it to Ben?
Hmm?
Was he asking that to Ben or telling Ben?
I don't know what the question was, honestly. Was there a question in there?
Pardon?
Was there a question in there for Ben?
Actually, no, there wasn't a question in there for Ben, I guess.
Okay.
Sorry, Ben.
I thought he said Ben's name when he started saying
He
it.
did, first.
He did confirm that, I thought, and confirmed in his statement that the guidelines have changed, and that is part of why the hazard designation has changed.
That is correct. The
Yeah.
definition changed, and it's only because of what would happen if the dam failed. That's what changed.
But he also did confirm, so there has been no structural analysis
No.
from state or any of the engineering.
Not with borings and things like
Yeah,
that.
not
I mean,
borings,
every so often, the state comes in and does an inspection. And I don't know the extent of the inspection, but they do take measurements of all kinds of structural elements.
I would like to know that when they do inspections, and it's the same for me taking pictures and looking at historical pictures, that the conditions based on water flow and how it looks can vary quite a lot. One of the things, and it's even mentioned in DK's report, that the visual indicator, where was it? The dam just, I will have to find it, but they made some mention about it having, it leaning. Well, and I had shown some pictures with the committee where I took an old picture and you see all this leak going on across the whole dam. And then I took a more recent picture that was just like that and compared it. And I realized later, looking at all of these different pictures, and in particular the one that I have in here from 710, when there's no water going over the dam, you see where the real leaks are. That's when you see them. When the dam, and DK mentions it, that the dam has a slope to it in a negative term, but the reality is that the dam is curved upriver, and it has slope to it. When water's going over the lip of the dam, but not with any force, just going over it, it looks like the whole thing is leaking. When it's flooding, or when there's a high water flow, the only leaks you see, the water just flows past the vertical slope, and you don't see leaking elsewhere, but you do still see the larger leaks. They still show up in the water flow. But what's going on is that there is a slope, and that slope is upriver, and when there's a gentle flow, it splashes all over the rocks coming down. When it's a strong flow, it skips far enough down and hits at the bottom of the dam. And I took note that it's curved, it has a slope upriver, and that there was a criticism of the slope in the DK report, as if that was something bad. And I relate it to the Hoover Dam, which has a curve in it, and it's sloped up the river, and was built, this is kind of a joke for me, built in 1931, 1936, so maybe they took the idea from Londonderry.
Bob, I think we've spent enough time on the dam. I don't think we're coming up with a full recommendation tonight.
Yeah, my personal opinion is I don't think we're ready to do that yet. I think we need to gather more.
All right, and we'll move on. No, we're moving on, Bob.
Ben, thank you for your time, much appreciated. All set, Ben, thank you.
Thank you, Ben, thank you, Alan. All right, moving on to item 9. Roads and bridges, 9A's updates.
Roads are fine.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yep.
I can do it as a PDF for you.
I guess the one thing was the fuel, we got 140 gallons, this is June fuel for the transfer station. 732 gallons for equipment.
Yeah.
July equipment was 380 gallons.
I don't have it here. I'll show you the picture.
Bob,
Sorry.
if you guys are gonna talk, please, go outside. Go ahead. Bob, please.
I was gonna say, I've been sitting here a while, Bob, give me a minute, would you? You got the town hall parking area you asked me to bring up. Hunter did a not to exceed $10,000 price.
So we have that on here, actually.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay. The other question was, I guess, the radios. There was comments on what they were, how they were, or price of the.
We figured out that page on an email got left out, so, go ahead. It explained everything that we were asking.
Right. And then, the next is the truck still hasn't made it to getting built yet, so. It's sitting in the parking lot at Viking as of a week ago, I guess. Scott Reed was gonna check on it and see what was going on.
Is that the truck?
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully we see it by winter.
I haven't heard it, we're going there tomorrow to get one of the trucks, it's done being repaired and,
Yeah.
and inquire a little more while I'm there, but see what we found out.
This is Milton, this is the loader.
Yeah.
This is why.
No. Go ahead.
Just for a big check, 175,000, is that for the truck?
No, for the backhoe.
Oh, just the back.
The truck won't be paid for until it's complete.
Yeah.
Good,
That was the
that's what I
way-
was worried about.
No, that's, I did the arrangement that way, because the way timing is and stuff.
Right,
But
don't pay them until you
I
get it.
guess with the way things are going, if we want to get rid of that six-wheeler, we might want to think about it, if we're gonna wait this long.
Yeah.
Because it's not getting any better shape.
We didn't really determine if they were gonna keep their trade-in offer
It
consistent.
sounded like he wasn't gonna change anything, but.
We don't wanna dump a bunch of money into it if we're gonna get this same.
No, the Mac, getting rid of that. That Mac's gotta go away sometime. And if we're 2-3 years down the road waiting on the truck,
Yeah.
it may not make another 2-3 years without putting a lot more money in it.
The other one's already been brought up, the old red one already.
Yeah, the red one's at Scott's.
Yeah, we already brought that.
Towed away and
I missed what you were referring to, sorry.
the other six-wheeler.
Yeah.
And I guess if you guys are happy with the radio thing,
What we were looking at was the price for all of the radios? Because it appeared that it was half of the radios.
Just a moment.
It was 2 items.
I think we were talking about 12 radios total, right, or 11?
there were 9 truck mounts, 1 base unit, and 2 handhelds. It's $99 to install every radio, that's your install fee, and $29 a month after that to keep them, whatever may happen to them. They're rental radios. Some breaks down, they come, give you a brand new one, and move on. But there's a monthly fee of $29 a month per unit.
Yeah.
Which would be
I
times
got
11.
it right here, so this was for 10 radios, initial installation was $999 one-time installation fee. Monthly service is, for 9 vehicles, 1 base and 2 handhelds was $29 per radio per month, $348 per month.
Okay.
That's the page we're missing, that actually had the information.
And they're willing to give us a demo model to make sure they're gonna work.
Good.
Before we even.
Right,
So I
to see
guess
if
I'm
we
just
have a-
asking the permission to do the demo to move forward if we can, and
I think it makes sense to do
Yeah.
the demo and we'll talk about it when the results of
Yep.
trying them out.
That makes sense to me.
Perfect.
Can we approve it contingent on a satisfactory demo? Does that
I
work?
mean, I can't picture it now working. The man used his radio and talked to his company in New York, wherever in the Adirondacks that is,
Yeah.
and talked to his company in Rutland. The only
I don't have a problem. I'll just go ahead and do it, but
But,
make sure it does work, yeah.
oh yeah, no, he'd give, I think it was a 2-week trial. He'll bring a base unit to the shop and 2 vehicle units so we can go across town, make sure everything works.
Great.
And try them out.
Yep.
Yeah, I wouldn't make any hasty decisions.
Yeah, I'd say just in the interest of making sure you're satisfied, we'll wait till you get done with your trial and proceed.
Okay.
Is that all we got, Josh?
Yes, I think so.
Alright. Moving on to 9B, review bids and award contract for grants and aid improvement projects. We only had one bid, so this shouldn't take too long. It was somewhere around 50 or something, I think.
20, and 10.
Yeah.
50.
Yeah. So, most of this is grants, all of this is grants and aid, or just most of it? All of it?
It's all grants made, FY 23 and 24.
It's all money in the
We have a local match. I was told in our budget. I can't remember right now.
But either way, the state's giving us most of the money.
Yeah.
That's good.
Make a motion?
Please do.
I move to accept the bid from Hunter Excavation Incorporated for grants and aid road improvements and to authorize the town administrator to execute any documents necessary for the hiring of the contractor to provide the necessary materials and services.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Moving on to 9C, discuss reclassification of a portion of Rest Haven Road, Town Highway number 33. From what Shane explained to me, this is setting up a meeting for us to go look at.
That's right, yeah. It is a very complicated process that you have to follow to the T. If you don't, it just, it's not valid. And so we need to be really careful. Part of which is, I'm recommending, there's a meeting that needs to be held at the site with the public hearings. Anybody who's interested needs to come in. And so we need to go through this process. And part of it is public notice 30 days ahead of time. So I'm recommending September 30th, which is not a regular meeting date. It would be like at the 5th. In September, we have 5 Mondays, so we moved the meeting from Labor Day. We're going to meet on the 9th and the 23rd.
Mm-hmm.
So we could have a meeting, at the site, separate special meeting on the 30th, on Monday. We could wait and do it at a regular, before a regular meeting also. So that we have plenty of options. There's no real rush, but the idea would be to get it done by next spring.
I mean, 30th works for me, but.
Yeah. If we can get a quorum there, that's all we need.
Yeah, it could be
I assume.
earlier, whatever you want to do. But I need at least a month just to take care of the notice.
I can do the 30th.
30th sounds good then.
What day is the 30th?
That is Monday.
I can't because I gotta take my brother to Bennington.
Like I said, we just need a quorum. We should be all right.
And we would meet there.
Has to be
Yep.
there.
Do it 3 or 4 days later. Done.
Do you want to set it earlier in the day,
Whatever everybody wants to do, I'm good with.
like 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock? 4 o'clock?
Sounds good.
Oh, I could be there by 4 o'clock.
All right.
I'll get back to 10.
So do we want a motion on that one? Do we have one?
Pursuant to Title 19 BSA 708 and 709, I move to initiate proceedings to reclassify a portion of Rest Haven Road, Town Highway number 33, from Class 3 to 4 to Class 4 in the vicinity of Rest Haven Cemetery and set September 30th, 2024 at 4 p.m. as the date and time for examining the premises and hearing interested persons, and direct the town administrator to provide the required public notice.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Would we specifically notify people, like landowners along that road, or?
Yeah, everybody anybody affected, I always go a little bit extra just so you don't run into trouble. So
Yeah.
it's an extra
Post,
$6.
publish, and certified mail. Right.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's this process you gotta go through.
All right. All right, moving back to item 11, new business. We'll finish off that.
Can I just ask one thing, actually, and Josh might know the answer to? The work that was done on Dairy Woods Road, the culvert replacement, that job is still incomplete, correct? Because it was ditching as well?
No, that's all done. The one that Wes did?
No, the one that Hunter did on Dairy Woods.
Oh, Gary Woods. The big one?
No, the one right by the entrance to the pit.
That's complete, other than they're coming to pave whenever they come.
So that hasn't been, it's not a paid contract yet. 'Cause I thought ditching was part of it too. I'll look back at it. We don't have to.
No.
As long as it's not resolved, that's all I was.
Moving on to 11D, consider purchase of storage trailer and rental of office trailer for town office renovation project. I think the office trailer, we're not there yet, right?
Yeah, we're not, I'd like to talk a little bit about it anyway, but,
Yep.
First off, provided some information to you all about, some trailers and all that, but there's, in Brattleboro, there's, Brattleboro Portable Storage. They've been really good to work with, and, I went down to, take a look at what they had, and, what you can see on your page 67, that is a 40-foot high cube trailer, which is pretty darn big. But I think we need about that much storage. But my sense is that we would want to go with two 20-footers. The part of the reason for that is, even though it's more expensive, I think we would have better utility after the project. You know, one of them could be used for the parks, one of them could be used for highways, or we could sell it, and we could do whatever we want.
It's a purchase, not a rental?
This would be a purchase, because these are brand-new items.
The problem we heard from rentals is a lot of times you get ones that leak.
Yeah, we can't afford to have leakage on anything, so. Plus, it'll be easier to put them, to station them around here.
Yeah.
What's that, Jim? Sorry?
One trip is what they're called. They've been used once and then they sell them.
Well, no, these are brand new.
I didn't.
These are like one trip being, they bring them here and they're done.
Right, but typically they came here with stuff in them and they sell them as, they call them one trippers, meaning they've only been used once.
Okay, what's new information to me? One trip container.
I mean, it's essentially new.
Yeah, I mean, I walked,
Right.
at least the larger one, and it looks brand spanking new, not a scratch on it.
Right, the alternate being, ones that have been, shipped back and forth and they're banged up from being taken on.
Right, these are in really pretty nice shape.
Yeah, very, very nice. And typically the retail point that you can buy them from, the registration numbers on here are associated with the person that sells them, so often they're painted and they're in brand new condition.
Yeah, these were, anyway, again, my sense is that a 40-footer is gonna be hard to position here. Maybe we can put one down across the road there, there's that open spot, for some of the longer-term storage, but other things like if the listers need to get into their files, have something right outside here where they can get into their files. Most of the stuff will be dead storage. And if we could put it up here, it'd be that much easier to get it there, that's for sure. But if it's just down the road, it's not gonna be too bad. But I'm thinking file cabinets, what have you. We're gonna have to get someone to help us out with a lot of moving.
Because we're supposed to be moving out of this building by the end of this month, basically.
Yeah, right. So we're gonna have to throw stuff out. We'll probably have to get a dumpster here and just throw out stuff. I know that Tina has, there are some She does not want to have to go through all of her boxes down in the basement. We're gonna move the boxes and she can go through them another day. Which is, I get that, but, it'd be nice to just get a shredder truck in here and just shred a lot of stuff. But there are some things that cannot be disposed of. So anyway, I'd like the board's, okay to go forward with that. They are more expensive, the two of them. The 40-foot cube is $5,650. They gave us a small municipal discount I was able to get. But the 20-footers are $3,650 per. So that's, a little bit more expensive.
A lot more versatile.
Absolutely.
I would agree with that as well, because a longer storage, you have to keep more space open to get to the rest of it.
Right, I think the 20s would be fine.
Did you have
40-footer may not make the corner down here either.
Yeah.
Right,
So,
yeah.
I know the guy with the loader couldn't make it.
Yeah, so,
And
Lots of reasons.
I don't know if we can move, I don't think we can move these with the loader either, though. They were like 4,500. They were like 4,500,
yeah, we
almost
think
5,000
tear weight's
pounds.
like, 4,500 or so.
I would notify them that they might not make that corner, because they'll try to deliver both those on the same truck.
no.
No.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Right. I at least let them know
Yeah,
where, 'cause, I know they wouldn't specifically make two trips unless they needed to.
right, and we don't need them at the same time necessarily. We just need to coordinate with the contractor, with GPI, as to where they are okay for them to go.
Yeah.
And the closer we have them to the building, the easier it'll be to move stuff.
Typically, they'll be able to deliver them, they can set them precisely where you want them.
Mhm.
They're not easy to move. Even if you have forks, you need special types of forks. And it's,
Right, we'll have to put some timbers underneath, I think just
Couple
two on each side, I think it's all. So yeah, I'd like to go forward with that, but then on the mobile offices, we've got a lot of different choices. I included Will Scott. Now, we did notice that that's what they have over at Hunter Excavation. That's what they're using. So Tina and I took a tour, and they're fine. Theirs is much larger than what we would need. And we were thinking that if you look at, you can't really see it, page 70, probably one of the bottom two, 32 foot or 24 foot.
How many physical people are you gonna have in there?
Well, it would be
Mostly town clerk and.
town clerk
Like four.
and the other two, and maybe a desk for if I need to come in and, do stuff, or if they have visitors who are doing research,
Right,
not the whole, they can squeeze in.
yep.
But the primary concern is the bathroom in there, so we need to figure that out. The bathroom that they had over at Hunter's is just fine. The issue is we would, in our situation, have to get a storage tank for the waste. So they do come with that. And they also come with water. We need to make sure it doesn't freeze up. But for potability, we have the bubbler here that we would be using, for that office. And they could also limit the visitation days and hours. But I think we do need to provide some access to the vault. That's one of the primary things that we do here. A ground could be, it can also be a ground level one versus an elevated.
that's nice.
What's that?
That might be nice.
Yeah, I'm just thinking
Which
that
ground level, or, yeah,
a ground level one would allow, people in wheelchairs to
Right.
have better access.
But otherwise, it's gonna be probably steps that are at least as high as this table.
Well, it's like this on page
why would you need to
69.
elevate it?
Well,
To get the plumbing stuff there, or? No.
Maybe, that's what we need to figure that piece out.
Yeah.
I don't want to subject anybody to an outhouse in February. That's just not right,
Well, and my feeling, as far as like the size of it goes, I'd look at the one that you need and then get one just a little bit bigger, maybe. I wouldn't get the smallest one you can, for sure.
Yeah, we were thinking that 32 would do it, just so we can have a couple tables in there.
And how much are these a month?
Don't know yet. I mean, I'm behind the 8 ball on a lot of this, I'll be honest with you, but we're trying to figure it out because there's just a lot of moving parts on this, so that's one of the primary things I'm gonna do this week.
That one's gonna be discussed more at our next meeting.
Say again, the office one will be.
At the special meeting.
That's fine.
So, yeah, I just wanted to bounce some of the stuff off for you, and this is good input. And, you know, it could be that the board would say, no, we don't need anything. We'll just have by appointment, you know, we could, that's another alternative, that everybody would be over at the town hall. And if there's appointment, people can come here and spend 1 hour, whatever it is. That's another alternative that's cheaper. Everybody relocate at the town hall. And another thing we need to do is the board's future meetings and planning commission or what have you will be at the town hall. So we need to, maybe a couple of us need to go over there and figure out what the room's gonna look like.
Right.
And we also have an issue with asbestos. No, excuse me, not asbestos. Yeah, we have mold, and we got an estimate today, but he didn't include the actual PDF document. So I don't know what the cost is at this point, but that's something we gotta do.
Yeah. It was like it was a little over 1,000 last time he did it. So.
Yeah, he said it's more, maybe something's come in since, but he said it's certainly more involved, because there's more.
Yeah.
I think the idea of having something here that's clean and safe and for people that are here 9 to 5 or, you know, whatever the hours are, obviously, is a better option. And then committees and, you know, we're not gonna use this trailer for our meetings, obviously, but to have all that stuff happening at the town hall, I think would be complicated.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it's just down the road, I still think it's more convenient.
Well, does anyone want to make a motion on the storage containers, at least?
Sure. I move to authorize the town administrator to proceed with the purchase of 2 new 20-foot storage containers at a cost of $3,650 each, including delivery, to accommodate temporary storage needs for the town office renovation project. It is the intention to relocate the storage containers. Reallocate to other town departments when no longer needed for the renovation project.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. 11E is amend regular meeting location. We just got to warn that we're not going to be meeting here because we can't.
Yep. I move to hold regular meetings of the Londonderry Selectboard on the first and third Mondays of the month at 6 p.m. at the Londonderry Town Hall, 139 Middletown Road in South Londonderry, or at the discretion of the Selectboard Chair and as permitted by applicable law. Meetings may be held without physical presence using publicly available remote meeting software. This motion amends the regular meeting locations as determined by the board on March 18th, 2024, and is necessitated by impending renovations to the town office building, and it should be noted that the regular meetings this September shall be on the second and fourth Mondays, September 9th, 2024, and September 23rd, 2024, in keeping with the board's decision of June 10th, 2024.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
I just have a question about confirmation. Is those meetings would just be for September, and you're not changing your regular meeting time from first and third?
No, that's just because of Labor Day.
Labor Day, yeah. And there's 5 Mondays in the month. So every year we kind of look at the summer calendar and figure it out.
No problem. And moving on to 11F, Town Hall parking lot improvement. So this is one of those things that just came up that as you start thinking about what the town hall is going to need while we're moving there, and one is not a lake in the parking lot, and better access to the stairs. So being last minute, of course, it was just thrown out there to Hunter, and Josh is the one to talk to him, so you can go for it.
Yeah, I met with him, he measured it up, said it was 6,000 square feet, and he wrote a little text on what he was gonna do, but it was digging it down, rebasing it. He's gonna leave a soil ring around everything for water catchment, redesign the front stairs, and
he said his 10,000 was a town discount, so however.
So not to exceed 10,000.
Yeah, not to exceed 10,000. But he was treating the town right by trying to fix the parking area, because
It is a
I
problem.
bet it's a foot below
Yeah.
what it should be right now, the way I mean, just kind of
So he'll
eyeballing.
rebuild it up?
He's gonna dig it down.
Well, he'll remove, the back's gotta be dug down because of the soils. The
Soft
front will be built up to match the road, so the grade will be better, the entrance will be better, you know, the walkway into the stairs.
The front stairs
Yeah,
and the
won't
back?
be that like drop
Yeah.
dip and, you know, he's gonna fix that up. And like I said, he said he'd leave a grass, his suggestion was leave a grass ring for water to leach off the new strip back.
That'd be great.
So, I mean, we always park there, I mean, and right now I imagine tonight with all the rain, the music festival, there's probably some
Like
rut.
Woodstock.
They're gonna need some muck bits to get to the car.
There might be some rut up there, but.
You'd probably gain, I'm gonna say you're gonna gain 2, maybe 4 parking spots.
Oh,
Because of the.
Can you line it too?
Stone
Can you line it?
It's not gonna be paved.
Oh, this is not paving.
No,
Oh,
just,
sorry.
just sure back.
Sure back.
Paving would be quite a bit more.
Paving down the road maybe.
Yeah.
One of the things is that the electrical service to the town, to the building, excuse me, is, there's a pole midway up on the left-hand side by the stone wall, then it goes underground to the building. According to Gary Barton, that needs to be replaced anyway. The system needs to be upgraded. All of it. And so what he's gonna do is put in some conduit while that's happening. So that's gonna be an upcoming expense also, but it is something that is needed by code. So that's gonna end up, not now, but soon, it will be, it's a $3,000 item or so is what he mentioned. But it has to be.
It's smart to put the conduit in now, even if the wire's
Right.
not in place.
Exactly right, yeah, we just didn't wanna dig it up.
Not digging it.
Stuff we've needed it and just haven't gotten to, but.
I haven't mentioned the conduit on there, kind of like that.
Well,
So,
yeah, we'll work that through. We'll just make sure he knows.
I'm sure he would, so.
Yeah, but when it's all,
Texting half the night wondering how it was turning out, so.
cool. Well, when he's digging, you know, he's gonna have to be careful, because, you know,
The other
It's
conduit.
live
You
now.
can see the line.
Yeah.
If you look at the parking
Oh, yeah.
lot, you can physically see where it goes.
well, yeah, when they
There's
put
no
in,
doubt about
they put
that.
in the fiber optic, it's like a couple of inches on below
Yeah.
grade. It's just, they didn't do a good job there.
That's all information he should have prior to digging.
Yeah.
Dig safe would.
So, yeah, we'll get Gary and Hunter together on this.
Probably not called dig safe anyways.
Yeah, I think so.
Anyone can make a motion?
I move to waive the formal bidding process of the town's purchasing policy and authorize the hiring of Hunter Excavation Incorporated to complete the full restoration of the town hall parking lot at a cost not to exceed $10,000. Such funds to come from the town's building reserve fund, and to authorize the town administrator to execute any documents necessary for the hiring of the contractor and provide the necessary materials and services.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. And who wants to take the last one? You haven't done it for a while, Jim, you want it?
I move to adjourn.
Already?
Second.
All those in favor?
Run away.